Okay, so I have the live on now, and I'll do the voice recorder thing on my iPad. Hopefully the sound on that is decent because I like to record these like the little podcast. I like to record the little mini section. But yes, oh, let me say that to Meg. Yes, I'm live now. I meant to type that. There we go. So yeah. So I'll do some of it live. Hello, everybody on TikTok. Anybody who's popping in. Let's see. Keep going. Okay. So I'm going to give Meg a chance to pop in over there. And probably need like a light of some sort. Okay. And then, wow. By the way, y'all, thanks so much for being patient. Let me try it like this. Yeah, thank you for being so patient because this is wild. I've never had any kind of disruption that's this intense. And then let's see. I'm trying to get the lighting to be decent. Oh, hello. Okay, so anybody who's popping in, doing book club over at the Midnight Scholar Society. Hello. We had lots of technical difficulties. Oh God, I put the mic down. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys can still hear me okay. Okay, we had some technical difficulties, so anybody who wants to join live, I'm live. Okay. I'm all set up live for anyone with sound issues. Okay, there we go. So, I guess, hello, everybody. I did not expect to go live. So, enjoy a book club session over at the Midnight Scholar Society. We're doing chapter 11 of Women Who Run with Wolves. And I meant to, let me push pause on this. I just won't record it. That's fine. There we go. Yeah, so we're having lots of technical difficulties. Mercury is in retrograde, and Mercury's not playing. Mercury's not playing at all. This is the second issue I've had. Some people have had issues with phone calls, all sorts of stuff. So we're just going to start now. And I think, can everybody still hear me? Anybody who can, just like give me a thumbs up over at the Discord. And if not, don't worry. No worries, though I will download and send out the lecture from TikTok in the newsletter. There we go. Okay, so I see some of you over here, and I think I've given everybody enough time. So we're good. Okay. Okay, perfect. So let's jump into... Let's jump into the story an hour after. This is crazy. Okay, so over at Midnight Scholar Society, we've been reading Women Who Run with Wolves, and we've been doing it throughout the year. It's been amazing, honestly. I'll do a blurb for the book club. I will say this. The discussion portion of the book club is so fucking transformational. I really do encourage everybody to join some type of book club, join clubs centered around the things that you enjoy, where the purpose is to get together and talk about something, right? The purpose isn't to show up and be seen, but to show up and to see something. Oftentimes you will hear other perspectives and listen to other people's perspectives because they're showing you a different way of looking at something. And if you can understand how someone is looking at something differently, you gain a perspective of being able to analyze something in your own life. And that can give you information or tell you things. And that happens all the time over here at book club. It's amazing, honestly. 10 out of 10. I get so many different revelations, and I do a little lecture. I tell you guys about the story a bit, and a bit about how Estes, the author, who's a Jungian analyst, like interprets all of these stories and what this means for developing our internal self, our creative self, which is your soul, right? You have a human self and a human career and human life. That's your physical activity out in the world. But what predates that? What do you do? What comes before the I guess who's creating the version of you that goes out into the world to do things? Is it your parents? Is it society? Or is it your soul, you? And so this is a guidebook, this plus The Artist's Way, honestly, Chef's Kiss, as a guidebook of being able to navigate that. So let's jump in. We're in chapter 11, and this chapter is Clear Water, Nourishing the Creative Life, La Llorona and the Little Match Girl, and also the Three Golden Hairs. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of the stories and also what we can kind of glean from them, because there is a lot to be gleaned, but I'm going to do it a little different than usual. I'm going to talk a little bit about Pluto and Aquarius and how all of this stuff can be applied to not only what's going on personally in your life, but also what's going on in the bigger society at hand, because there's a lot going on. I mean, we've been seeing all sorts of stuff. And then hopefully in book club, everybody will be able to like share and talk about things. I feel like I'm hoping that I can hear everything, and I hope everything works well on that end. So stay tuned. But first, let's go over the lecture part. So chapter 10. So the chapter before this, chapter 9, was about rehoming. It's about the signals to go home. I said this before. I was like, if you've ever been a kid who played at someone else's house or played with someone else, you probably learned signals to take your ass home. Meaning, not like you could have a best friend and everybody burns out, everybody becomes their worst self at some point in time, right? There is a point where somebody will cross the line, you're playing, and they're like, well, you can't play with this one. You can only play with these. And you're like, you know what? It's time for me to take myself home because this is no longer fun for me. This is no longer fun. I'm not enjoying this activity. That's a huge sign to take your ass home. So we have those going on for our external world and our internal world. What are the signs that are happening around us that tell us go home, go to your inner world, go to your inner sanctum and sit with yourself? What are those signs? Sometimes that looks like fatigue. That looks like crash out. That looks like burnout. That looks like spiritual psychosis. That looks like a mental breakdown. That looks like PTSD. You see, I'm using all of these phrases and words that people have been using in so many different places, right? To talk about the big kaboom. The moment where things are crashing and burning around you and you need to retreat into your inner world to do what? The next chapter is all about what you do. If things are going well creatively, they don't really crash and burn, they land, okay? They land and you kind of go home gracefully and do your cycle, X, Y, and Z. This is a positive cycle. So when something's a bit more negative and you crash and you burn, this is like the story of La Llorona, La Llorona, the Lady of the River. Now, rivers, I'll get into the story in a second, but I really want to iterate to you all. This is about crash out, burnouts, PTSD, spiritual psychosis, I think I said creative burnout, autistic burnout, whatever you want to call it. All of those names are about what happens when you experience a collective fatigue of your different bodies, usually your 4 different bodies, but it starts with the spiritual fatigue that leads to emotional fatigue, that leads to mental fatigue, that finally leads to physical fatigue. This is all about that. So if you've experienced any of that, please do tune in. So the first story is La Llorona. The story originates from Mexico, but I need to give you the context of this. First of all, we have to understand, and one of my favorite things about this author is that she approaches things from a non-Western perspective. She approaches things from a more indigenous perspective. So when we talk about Mexico, that is a very colonized name for a group of people who belong to this entire Turtle Island country before other people did. So we have to make sure, oh no, you guys lost me again over here, huh? I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's something has fallen asleep. If you do feel like, maybe tune into the live just in case, because I have no idea what's going on. This is my sad face. Okay. Yeah, what is going on? Let me do one little quick. Yeah, I have no idea. No idea what the sound. So I'm just going to keep doing my best. And we shall hope for the best. Yeah. Let's see. Default? No. Check. Check. That's crazy. Check, 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 check. Nope. Check, check, check. Nope. Not you guys listening to me check, check, check. Anyways, I think that came back, kind of. Oh, that's wild. Yeah. Yes. Do both if you can. Okay, so anyways, La Llorona. This is a story about a woman who, I went to talk to you about Mexico really quick. So Mexico, we have to understand the context of Mexico, because La Llorona is a story that is that transforms with the collective zygote of the society that is experiencing this energy. So what I mean is the story changes with each generation, and depending on what trauma is going on, the story changes. So to give you an idea of why this story might change and how it might actually be reflecting of the Mexican people, is first to understand that Mexican people are an indigenous group of people who were colonized by Spaniards, right? And through the intermixing of Spaniards, not just physically, but also as a psychology, you have a split in the psyche of indigenous people. Some of them who will always be treated as an indigenous person sometimes don't look like the indigenous person, so they will separate themselves. And this is how you get things like colorism, right? Ways in which people will look at their own ancestors and separate themselves and turn against them so that they can be perceived as being closer to their dominating colonial father, so to speak, so that they can be accepted and exempt from all sorts of abuse that happens when you don't look like the colonizer. Now, you have that going on, right? And then La Llorona has a story that kind of permeates there. And then second, what happens when the British colonizer comes in? This isn't the same colonizer who colonized Mexican people. No, this is a totally different colonizer. This is somebody who came through and is saying, I'm drawing a line. I'm drawing a line in your own hometown. And I'm going to tell you that if you're indigenous, you stay on that side. And if you can pass as Spaniard for the most part, I'll let you play in my sandbox, but only under a specific circumset of rules. You'll think that I'm inviting you to the table, but I'm not inviting you to the table. I'm inviting you to serve me at the table. But only if you identify as a Spaniard, your Spaniard self, so to speak. So this is colonialism, right? And this is dealing with not just one colonizer, but another. And then a loss of identity on top of that. Loss of identity is first house energy, fire energy, Aries, fire energy, fire, spirituality. Loss of identity is loss of your spiritual essence and your spiritual source. The channel that you have spiritually that feeds you, right? And we're going to talk about La Llorona, the lady of the river, and what comes from life. Water begets all life. So the river that feeds you, you have to give it to someone else now, because that's your spiritual power. You have to give it to somebody else in order to live with them, in order to abide by them. That's how power moves and shifts, right? And that's how people give their imagination over to others. Do you want to imagine a world where everything's fucking terrible and live in that? There are many different ways that you can. Even not wanting to, you still can. Even the fact that you don't want to means that you are in it, doing it. You get the point that I'm making. When you give away your power to something else, you're giving away all of your source of energy to think, to do, to feel, to act to someone else to dictate how you should think, feel, and act. So, with La Llorona, jeez, every time I say that word, I just want to skip over it. She's the woman of the river. And the story in some aspects go that she's a beautiful young woman who falls in love with a very rich colonizing Spanish colonizer. He owns a factory, and his factory pollutes the river that her people live in and stuff, right? And she gets pregnant and she has 2 kids, and he leaves her, is like, I don't want anything to do with that, to go be with his Spaniard spouse, so to speak. So he goes back to the home country, leaving her destitute with a poisoned river and with children, creation. So she drowns them and her kids in the river. That's one aspect of the story. In some versions, he's still a factory worker, but, well, there's many different versions. Please do read Women Who Run with Wolves to see the different types, and then you can see how, as Mexicans, as a culture, dealing with different types of colonization, all talk about this story of this woman who gives away her power. In one of them, she does marry him, but because she drinks from the river while pregnant, her children come out deformed. He rejects them and her. She drowns them in the river and then drowns herself. Now, by the end of the story, when she drowns herself, there's still more. She goes up to heaven and she can't enter. They're like, hey, you got to go get them kids. You know, them babies you left in that river, you got to go get those. Now, when we talk about what does this story mean, practically speaking, right? I'm pretty sure most of you haven't, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure most of you don't have any bodies in a river. I hope not. Okay. If that is you on my channel, no offense, but I don't fucks with stuff like that. Anyways, but no, most of us don't have like that kind of trauma going around, right? We have different things that this represents. So how can you see yourself in this story to be able to understand? I left some notes on this one. And I've mentioned this in other lives. I've mentioned this in other spaces and places recently because I read this in the chapter. And so I'm going to mention it here. Again, I said this at the beginning. Creative trauma, PTSD, crash out, spiraling, spiritual psychosis, mental breakdowns. All of these are words to talk about the same thing. And that is what La Llorona goes through. She's somebody who gave all of her energy to a polluted source. She gave all of her energy to something, and it's a polluted channel. What is a channel? And how do we think about that? Well, we see that with her, it's a river. And the Grande River is usually what this story is referring to, right? If we want to talk about the region where this story comes from, the Grande River. So this is the river that gives life. It feeds life to so much land around it. And so much is allowed to live because of this river. So what happens when that river gets polluted? Things start to die. So what is this river representative into yourself? River feeds life. So for you, a channel is a river, your way of receiving information from the world and filtering it throughout your own system to understand and create the reality you live in. Your channel and the channels that you consent to being in other words, wherever you get information, whether you're reading it, listening to it, seeing it, consuming it through eating it, whatever food you eat, everything that you consume, whether it be material or non-material, is a channel for information. When it comes to food, food is medicine. You are channeling medicine into your body so that your body can receive those packets of information and do what it needs to with it, heal, whatever. When you read a book, you are opening up a channel between you and the author so you can receive information and your brain can help, and your brain begins to organize itself in the way that logic in that book is set up to organize information. So now you begin thinking like that author. You ever have that? Anytime you have a realization after reading something or experiencing something, it is because it has changed your brain chemistry. People say that all the time, right? So anything that changes your brain chemistry is a channel. You are receiving information and it's impacting you. So what happens if that channel, let's talk about the external ones, like communities that you go into, right? A community is a new channel. It's a river. It's a you're at the watering hole, sure, but it's a channel. So what happens when you're taking in information from this channel and it's polluted? Whatever you create or whatever you express after being in that channel of energy, that pool, will also be polluted. So your external ones, maybe vacate polluted channels. What happens when it's internal? Can you vacate that? Absolutely the fuck not. La Llorona tried to vacate her polluted channel and the heavens said no. I tell this story sometimes. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But once I was, I was a new mom. And, when you have kids, for me, I had to give my best self to my kids. So they get all of the good, they get all the patience, all the grace, all of the kindness, all of the slow thinking, they get everything. That means I have very little to give to other people, including people who like to use me as a therapist and do nothing with the information that I gave them. So draining people, right? Once I'm on a phone call with someone who's very draining, and they talked about, just wanting to quit it all. And I said, well, you could quit it all, but you would literally come back to this point in your life. You'll just change your meat suit. And yeah, it does work like that. You, as a soul, you have come here to upgrade yourself, to integrate and to learn lessons and to change and transform. That's just natural. That's the life cycle. That's the life, death, rebirth cycle. You came here to do all of that in small ways throughout your big life, death, birth, recycle, right? You have one big one and a bunch of tiny ones leading up to the big one. So when you stop at one of the tiny ones, you just stop there, and then finally the big one hits you, and then you start over again, and then guess when you gain consciousness, you will live your entire life unconscious until you get to the point where you have that problem that you wouldn't solve. Your consciousness wakes the fuck up, and then it goes, okay, now time for us to solve this problem. And I told the person, I was like, listen, you can vacate life right now, or you can wait whatever lifetime. And I said this, I was like, you never know how many lifetimes it may take for you to unconsciously get to this issue again. So you'll have to be living over and over and over again, suffering the same thing until you finally get to a place where you can gain consciousness. And that could be the next life at 7 or 2 lifetimes from now at 68. That's when you'll gain consciousness, and all of a sudden life will start rushing back to you, and then you'll have to do it there. I was like, or you can just do it now. You just do it now. Now, the reason why I told you guys that I had no patience and stuff is because very rarely am I that trite with people who are on the edge and who are, but I was like, you're on the edge. I'm on the edge. I got an infant and a 3-year-old. I'm on the edge. I have no time. I have no time to hold anybody's hand while they're hanging on a branch, their feet dangling 1 foot from the ground because they don't want to help themselves. Okay. I'm dangling on the edge. I am in a nerve wracked, so I didn't have that much patience. But that being said, that's the truth. That was something I knew years ago. It just came to me in that moment. I didn't really know how I knew that, to be totally honest, but it did. It came to me in that moment, and that was something that I had to express. So the point that I'm making is with La Llorona, she's at that point where she cannot move on until she goes back into the river and get her, or bring back the souls of her children to go too. So what does that mean for us? This means when you find that your inner pool, your inner self is polluted, you have to go back and fix what that pollution is. You have to clean your river, clean your channel, because your channel is literally yours. The way that you view the world is only the way that you view the world. You cannot, under any circumstances, change anyone else and your viewpoint be changed. No. You know how you know that? How many people have you changed in front of, and they're still the same? In fact, they're so much the same, they will fight you to stay the same. That is literally it. No matter how much things change around us, unless we internally recognize our own deficits and our own, what's the opposite of a deficit? Assets, right? When you recognize all of those things in yourself, then you are capable of changing them. You can't change what you don't know, right? So we have to look at that. So the reason why I brought up the entire, the crash out and all that kind of stuff was to say this. When you are in a state like La Llorona, where you can't move on from life, you feel stuck somehow and you don't know what to do, the first step is to go home. How do I go home when every time I try to go home, I feel like what is home? It's bleak out here. I have to apparently go get my creations or my children that I've drowned in the pool. I don't even know what those things are. 9 times out of 10 you do. The reason why La Llorona drowned her children is because she was ashamed of what she made from a polluted river. We all know what it is that we've done. We have to just sit long enough to find out what it is. And luckily, I've got 4 steps for you really quick that I want to reiterate this no matter where I am on the internet, because the more places I say this, the better, the more people who can hear it, and it can help. There's only 4 things you have to do to clean up your polluted river. It really is simple. When you are suffering from a moment of PTSD, a moment of crash out, a moment of burnout, a moment of spiraling, spiritual psychosis, and you know when it's happening because you don't feel well. Whether you physically don't feel well, like you were having a digestion, and maybe your gut bacteria is not so good. So every time you start digesting, you start thinking the world's falling apart around you and you're stressed out extra and you make bad choices and you can't figure out why until later that day you found out that your stomach was hurting. You're like, oh, that's right. Maybe that's why I was extra pissed and pissy. Yeah. First is you're going to start recognizing these moments. The way you do that is when you don't feel good, stop. I don't care why you don't feel good. It could be because you're lifting up a heavy box and going upstairs. Stop. Take a breath. Stop. You have to learn that when you don't feel good, you stop. Many people learn to override that. So the first thing is to stop. Well, actually, you just stop. The first thing is to breathe. You need to put life into your body. So when, if you're, we all know in the story of La Llorona, she has to search through murky, polluted water to find her creations, okay? You are doing the same thing. You're trying to find essentially the root of the problem. You need to be able to look at your creation to see what went wrong so you can understand the pollutant to be able to shift your mind about something so you can change it from being poisoned to not. In Estes, the author of Women Who Run with Wolves, talks very much specifically about how the gent who kind of polluted everything with his factories is really our shadow self. Okay, for women it's the animus, for men it's the anima, but this book is heavily it focuses on the divine feminine and the female archetype because there's plenty of male archetype discussion. So anybody who's a bit weary because it seems very gender binary, it's not necessarily from a place of exclusion, it's from a place of including it into the narrative, because people need to understand both the feminine and the masculine binaries, because we have both of those energy, which is why we are fluid. Those things are not, those things are set archetypes, but we have both of them, so therefore we move back and forth between them. So that's kind of the necessity. That being said, you're shifting through murky water. How do you clean this up? You breathe. First step is to breathe. You need to stop. If you feel bad, I don't care if it's emotionally bad, mentally bad, physically bad, or your imagination's going crazy and you keep thinking of terrible things happening and flashing before your eyes. You're sitting in a cubicle, but all of a sudden you're thinking about World War III. Stop. Stop. The first thing is to stop. Stopping is acknowledging that something's not right. Next, breathe. Bring life into the body. I'm going to teach you how to breathe like a musician, because it's not just in, out, in, out. You need to understand and actually see and play. Play with your breath. 4 counts in, steady. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you should be extending your diaphragm. So your stomach should go out. You shouldn't be going in. If you find yourself going in, that's okay. Practice breathing so that instead of it going to your chest or your throat, you pull in from your diaphragm. It might feel weird and uncomfortable. Feel that. Feel that. Get it to happen. Get it to work. Did that take you 20 minutes? Great. Guess where you are in your body. Did that take you all of 3 seconds because you are a musician and you know how to breathe through your diaphragm? You're a dancer, you know how to breathe through your diaphragm. You do physical activity. Great. Great. Challenge yourself. First, start with 4 counts. Then start with 8 counts. Get to 10 counts. Slow. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. And then see how far you can go in, steady, out, same steady pace. Just do that. See how far you can get. And then once you realize that you are actually thinking about your breathing instead of something else, you've stabilized yourself a little bit. We're not done though. Step number 2, I tell people this: put a sticky note. Be mindful of where you put this sticky note. Don't put the sticky note somewhere where it might trigger you into further doomsday. So a sticky note that says either this shall not, or this will not last, or this too shall pass. Whatever phrasing you like, just know you need a phrase that lets you know that this isn't going to last forever. It's going to pass. You just need to be reminded that whatever state of negativity you are in will pass. So sticky notes, if you have a place that you can go, like your own little timeout spot, okay? I know timeout gets a bad rap because, they really fucked that shit up with kids, especially millennials, man. I think they were practicing timeout to the point of, traumatizing kids. But adults, you need a timeout space. And this space is just, if you went to a Montessori school, this space is just your chill spot, okay? You need a place where you can go where you're by yourself. If that's your car, if that's a room, if that's a specific chair, if that's your desk, I don't care where it is. Put your sticky note somewhere next to something. Listen, I have paintings and shit like that I've made and stuff, and they're very calming to me. Whatever you have that reminds you to be calm. It could be an inspirational section on a bookshelf. It could be a simple, you only got one book that's inspirational. Put the sticky note on that and put it somewhere facing like a decoration. Go near those things when you are crashing out. Go, breathe, and look at the sticky note. That's your affirmation. Affirmations aren't things that you just say to yourself hoping that they change. They are keys and spells that you look at to help jog your memory in moments of frustration. I taught my kid how to do this with math. you're upset with math, keep a math notebook where you write down all of your things very neatly. So in a moment of frustration, you can easily recall something. It's about giving yourself tools to work through things, not being perfect and not having to work through anything. Bah. You ever see a mathematician without a notebook? Okay? They're a master and they still need something to ground themselves in. Everything you write down is an affirmation. Otherwise you would need to write it down. So anyways, have something that tells you this too will not last. This too shall pass. Something like that reminds you of that. Step number 3 is to get present. Actually look at what's going on in your current reality. Is what you think, feel, or what you're inventing with your imagination based on your thoughts and your feelings, is that in your reality? If it is happening in your reality, then the poison is external, vacate. If it's not happening in your reality, if what you're thinking about is a memory or a future projection, I predict that this will happen because things are terrible. It's not happening in your reality. Pardon me. This is a polluted channel that's internal. So what do? Breathe. It's going to pass. But at least you've acknowledged the root. If it's a memory, what's the memory of? Now you know the root of your trauma. Look at that. Not so bad. Normally, if it's societal, we'll get to it. The same thing. If what you're inventing is societal, where you're just like, oh my God, all this stuff is hitting me, I don't even know how to feel or what it is, just let it pass. Let it pass. You two are a part of society, but you are also part of cleanup. You have a clean river, and sometimes shit upstream needs to pass through so we can get the fuck out of the whole thing. And that's okay. Just you hold your hand up and you just let it pass. You let it pass. This isn't mine. Man, I'm telling y'all, I get some crazy societal shit. I'm telling you. The channels that I'm on, I'm like, how the fuck did I end up on this channel? This stuff that I've predicted, I will never tell anybody other than I won't. Because I'm like, if I speak to what I felt and then what I saw happen in society, I'm predicting things that are happening to a very specific individual. That's odd. So the way that I get through those things, because some fucked up shit is happening to some people, okay? It's what they're calling to them, okay? People call all sorts of stuff to them, and it has to go through so much. Do not claim it as your own. That is this will pass. It's not mine. Whatever happened to you in your past is not yours anymore. It already happened. Whatever happened to you, whatever you think will happen, that's not yours. You're making it up. Let it pass. If it's yours, it'll come back and it'll settle and it'll manifest and do whatever it is, and it's probably better than you can imagine. Let that stuff pass. But the thing is this is the most important part. Get present. If it's not happening to you, it's not actually real. For you, not yours to hold on to. It's yours to acknowledge. You are not here to be ignorant. You're not here to spiritually bypass. You need to have your eyes wide the fuck open and see what the root of that issue is. If you're seeing it's a societal thing, then you need to know that everyone who pings that societal marker is poisoned river. If you're seeing some fucked up shit passing through and you're like, wow, this people who believe this, people who actively act in this, no matter how kind, how nice, how good, well-meaning they are perpetuating and sitting in that polluted river and poisoning other things around them, even though they do it unconsciously, consciously, whatever. You're not to be ignorant. You are to acknowledge the root of an issue and then apply that to your own life. Okay, if that means if certain people come up in that moment, this is a question. If they're polluted, you need to vacate. Vacate. There's nothing wrong with vacating. And maybe you're wrong. If you're wrong, that's fine. It's okay to be wrong about people. It's okay. You just eat your words and then eat what words? You just vacated. Have you ever been at a party, felt uncomfortable, left, and then been like, oh my God, I feel so bad that I left, and I was wrong. Everybody ended up having fun and it ended up being a cool night and I was wrong about stuff. I'm gonna deal with this for the rest of my life? No. Next time you go, oh, maybe I'll stay next time. It's just new information. It's okay to take things slow. But if you're not wrong, there you go. Confirmation. And if it's your intuition, very rarely are you wrong. So it's very deceptive. So you need to ground yourself, okay? And your thought, emotion plus thought plus imagination, when it's polluted, it's going to unground you. So you just stay seated. If it's clean, then it'll bring clarity. If it's not clean, it brings confusion. That's all you got to know. When you are in the river, the channel of information, if it's clean, it brings clarity. If it brings confusion, it's polluted. When it's polluted, just let it pass. You stay still, let it pass. Focus on your breathing. Focus on staying present. Notice what takes you out of present state and what helps you ground into the present state. And then the fourth thing, the last thing you have to do is just stay with yourself until you think, feel better, and can actively tell the difference between your reality, shared reality with you and other, and then your imagination, which has no grounding in reality whatsoever. Those are three separate spaces for you. You have your personal reality, the one where you are present. Okay? Your personal reality will never be just the reality. You will always have some level of bias onto it. You're creating it. A shared reality with you and other. You and another person, you and society, whatever. And then your imagination, one that is, you're not grounded at all. When you can easily tell the difference between those three states in yourself and you think better, you feel better, then it has passed. It's clean. If you get up and you start acting in that confusion, how will you know the difference between creating with polluted water and clear water if you're confused? How can you know the difference between creating with good information and polluted information if you're confused? You can't. So wait for clarity. Wait for clarity. Put down whatever it is, put it down. Does that mean that you stop living life? No. It just means that you put whatever that worry is, whatever is attached to that, you put it to rest. Now, we're going to talk more about what that looks like because we have the little match girl was also mentioned in chapter 3, and the three golden hairs, I think, which is, such amazing stuff, honestly. And these talk an awful lot about like what happens when you do the opposite of what I said. If you don't do them 4 things, and you just get up and start moving, or you start just you just get resigned and shit like that and just keep going, and one day maybe it'll all get better if you just keep on chucking at it. We're going to talk about what happens, the little match girl, and we're going to talk about what you do while you're at rest. The 3 gold hairs. That's another story that was mentioned in chapter 10, Women Who Run with Wolves. Anybody who's new here, this is the Midnight Scholar Society book club. We're having technical difficulties, so I hopped on live, and I'm discussing Women Who Run with Wolves. We're on chapter 10. We read chapter 11. Chapter 10. We read 1 chapter a month. It's been amazing so far, but I'm not going to get into it. So join the Midnight Scholar Society, free Discord and newsletter. If you'd like to join the book club and lectures, I do monthly classes. That's a paid subscription thing, so you can check all that out, link in the bio. That being said, back to it. So the little match girl, let's talk about that story, because this is what's going to happen if we don't do what I said, okay? The little match girl. Blame Estes, Clarissa, not me. She's the one spilling the tea. I'm just sharing it. I'm just providing the cups to pour it into, okay? So the little match girl is a story all about a little girl who's orphaned. She ain't got no mama, no daddy. Nobody is looking out for this girl. In fact, she lives in the woods under a lean-to. I don't know if y'all know what a lean-to is. It's essentially like you got some little shelter over your head, but the rest is all open, okay? She has no shoes. Her clothes are pretty bare, worn, pretty thin, And she learned that if she goes to town, she can buy some matches for half a penny, and she can sell them for a full penny, buy some bread, and some new matches, okay? So this is kind of the cycle that she got going, her little hustle. She got a little hustle. She buys some matches. She sells them on the street. She gets some bread. She goes home. She does the same thing over and over again every day. What happens when winter comes? It's cold as fuck outside. Little girl got frostbitten toes. Her nose is frostbitten. Like, it said that she was so cold, all her skin was white, which means she was past frostbite. Okay, things were bad. Things are bad. And she's getting down to the last day. Okay, she's wandering around. She's trying to sell these matches and nobody's buying. Y'all know I don't know if you've ever been in a big city when it's cold outside, especially like the Northeast, Connecticut, New York area, Michigan, Chicago, places like that. When it's cold outside, nobody wants to stop for anything. Nobody wants to stop and talk to anybody, let alone buy something off the side of the street. That's just not happening. You see what I'm saying? So little girl's not getting paid. So you can imagine, as she's wandering the streets, not making any money, and everybody's rushing indoors and stuff. She just ends up between two buildings. You know, she goes into a little alleyway. She sits down. Her legs are cold and tired, and she starts striking her little matches. And she strikes one, and she sees kind of like a little something on the wall. You know, like a little image of a warm hearth. The kitchen, super warm, smell of baked bread, and then the light goes out, and so she strikes another one. She sees a large Christmas tree. You know, she just sees, like, you know, there's another great little image. She's fantasizing. You know, her legs are now numb. Okay, now her hips and her back is pretty much numb. She strikes another match, and she sees her grandmother, and her grandmother's, you know, come, you know, come into my apron. She wants to give her a big hug and invite her into the warmth. And then the image starts to go out as the match dies, and she strikes him over and over and over again so she can stay with her grandmother until finally she strikes the last match, and there she is with her grandmother forever. Her grandmother came to collect her so that she could take her, you know. And so the next morning they find her body. She's still, and she's gone. So the story of the little match girl is she's representative, right, of those little matches are your creation, your little idea, whatever little creativity you have, in a world that neglects it. Think about a world in which this little girl with no clothes on in the middle of winter can walk around and nobody stops. If you have a hard time imagining that, or an easy time imagining it, I want you to imagine your own life. Anytime that you've had a creative potential, you've been walking around a giant neon sign for some potential of something in your workplace, in a relationship, at school, in your community. You've walked around as a big giant sign, right? Of use me. I have the solution. And everyone ignored you. Everyone ignored it. And then you just went, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad, not that good of a solution. Or you got jaded and you're like, fuck them. I wouldn't even share it now if they asked. You know what I mean? Like either way, you are suffering signs of neglect. You have creative potential. You have all this creative energy, and nobody will take you up on it. Nobody will do anything with you or with it. Nobody wants to value your creative potential. I know that there are tons of y'all out there, because I made a video talking about stop trying to fix shit at work and instead go to social media and try to connect with people who are looking for solutions. Because when you're working in corporate America, so I'm going to swivel this a little bit, because this is the most place where I see all the little match girls. Corporate America is for big business usually, but there's also entrepreneurs in corporate America. So please do, if you're an entrepreneur out there, you own your own creative business and stuff like that, please do recognize that you are part of corporate America. You just probably don't have slaves, meaning workers. You know what I mean? And we'll get into what that means and stuff. Not everybody who has employees has slaves and all that kind of stuff. It's only when you were exploiting your workers, et cetera, et cetera. But the point that I'm making is, in corporate America, it creates so many little match girls. Especially if you're neurodivergent or you're divergent in thinking in any way, shape, or form. If you go into corporate America and you try to solve problems, that whole system was meant to exploit. So if you're trying to resolve exploitations, no one sees you as valuable. They only see you as a problem. So they will leave you out in the cold, and you're going to sit there and if you have any fantasies about what life could be, if only you had this, if only someone gave you the money to start up your business, or if only you had the time to write that book, if only you could X, Y, and Z. These are the fantasies. This is her, this idea, swish. If only, oh, that went out. Next one, if only, oh, that one went out. And remember, she's not selling any of these, so she definitely can't afford any bread. Her legs don't work anymore. She's frostbitten from the waist up and down. So it's not like she could get bread if she wanted to, and she's also not going to sell these. She is dying, which is why she's striking every last one of those matches, because she's dying. And the only thing left for her is to escape into some fantasy world while she suffers the discomfort. So Estes says, if you ever find yourself in a situation like the little match girl, you must reject those fantasies quickly and start to wake up. Get up, go fight, go do something, get out. But the point is you must get away from the environment that you're in, or the situation that you are in, because it is causing the death. This is a poisoned river where La Llorona is not cleaning. She's not looking for the root of the problem. She has subsided. She's given in. She's floating down the river with all the pollutions. Yeah, staring up at the sun, talking about if only. If only, if only. That's the last place you ever want to be. So if you find yourself in that situation, you must reject those types of fantasies. And this is something that happens, like I said, if you are not taking the moment to breathe, to let it pass, sometimes rejecting, or sometimes living in the fantasy is this. It's not sitting at your desk in corporate America trying to imagine a different life. No, it's literally acting on those fantasies as if something will change. I'm going to give my all. I'm going to put this. Even though I know I work with a bunch of white men who do the good old boys club thing, I'm going to show them how great I am and how smart I am by being even more diabolical than they are. And then they will have to recognize me. And you know what? And then the head honcho will be like, wow, you're actually my golden boy instead of so-and-so. Yeah, that looks like somebody playing into that fantasy, acting on it, putting their all, doing this, doing that, even though they're burnt out and they know it's not going to work. But I will do this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll set the whole place on fire. No, because you will be efficiently too gone to do that. You will not have any energy to even resurrect a revenge plot. You know how many people fantasize and they go, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll do my revenge plot, and they don't have the energy to do that. They don't. They're just living on the last bit of their fire, the last bit of their passions and their energy to no end. So it is important, like I said, in the first half of this. By the way, if you've missed anything, I'll probably upload this to YouTube simply because we've had so many technical difficulties. But you want to use all of the energy that you have to clear up your polluted channels and to also vacate polluted channels. The little match girl was in a polluted external world, a world in which they do not at all nurture her type of creativity whatsoever. And so in turn, it dies. So make sure you vacate those types of spaces, and also you sit, breathe. What were the 4 steps? This too shall pass. And then you let it pass by. Recognize what's coming up. Don't act on it. Don't do anything until you have clarity. If that takes you weeks, leave the situation, leave the person, and leave the environment alone until you have clarity. Don't act on anything until you have clarity. You will feel urgency. You'll feel compelled to. You'll feel like your world will all crumble in and everything will fall. Of course, the river is being diluted of pollutants. The pollutants will cease to exist. Something is dying. Something is dying. Let it die. And if anything helps you in that moment, understand that if you feel bad and something is dying, right? And you're sitting down, you're breathing, what's dying is the bad feeling. Whatever causes you to feel bad, let it go. It's called the pain body. Read The Power of Now. Very helpful. The pain body makes a lot of racket while it's going. It's a polluted body of water. It's going to make a racket. So let's talk about the last thing, the 3 gold hairs. And then I'm going to figure out how we're going to do book club. On the Discord, I don't know. I wanted to hear everybody else's perspective and stuff like that with it. Maybe we can't do that this month. Maybe we'll save some time next month to do it. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll figure it out in some other space. I don't know. This week is already wild, right? But let me get into the 3 gold hairs, because this wraps everything up and also talks about Pluto and Aquarius. And maybe I'll just do that and call it a day, and we'll figure out how to because I want to hear everybody's thoughts. Maybe I'll just open up a thing and we can type out some stuff and then hit it up another time. But the 3 gold hairs, this is the finality. So what do? Okay, you are doing your stop, don't do shit, right? And you're probably like, listen here, Linda. I've been doing the healing work. I've been staying the fuck still. I've been resting. I've been isolation, bitch. But what the fuck do I do? Well, I'm sitting by myself healing. This shit gets boring after a while, or at least I feel like I have all this energy and I'm rattled. I don't know what to do. I'm too tired to do anything, but I'm too tired not to do anything. What do I do? 3 gold hairs. I'm telling y'all, please read chapter 10. So the 3 gold hairs. This is a story about an old man. He's gnarly, okay? He's got long yellow hair, yellow snaggly teeth. He's all hunched over, and he's got his fingernails are all long and amber. I'm talking like he old, okay? And he's walking through the forest, and he's literally holding onto one tree, pulling himself forward, grabbing another tree, pulling himself forward. And he's got a little lantern, okay? And he's moving one tree at a time. This man, you got to imagine, as somebody who's that old, who's moving like this, they're doing an awful fucking lot. Like, he's obviously got a place where he's going. And his little lantern has got a little light in there, okay? It's dark. He's got this little light. And it's going down and down and down as he's going. But then finally, out in the distance, he sees another light, cabin with this one little light on, and that's where he's going. He's dead set on it. And by the time he reaches that door, right, his light goes out and he falls through the door. He's made it. Is the old man dead? Well, this great ass old fucking lady just so happens to be in there, and she hobbles her ass on over, picks up this old man like he weighs nothing, brings him back to her little rocking chair, and she goes, there. And she rocks this old man, there. Twilight passes, and she's there-thering him, and now all of a sudden he looks like maybe he's in his 50s or his 30s, okay? He's looking a little younger. There. She keeps going. He's looking like he's in his 20s. There. He's a teenager. There. He's a baby. And by the time he's so small, he's a baby. His hair is, golden hair. It's all brand new, shit like that. His skin's all clean. He's looking fresh, baby spanking new. She pulls 3 hairs out of his head, tosses them on the ground. He wakes up, and then he crawls on out of there. And before he leaves, he waves at her, bye, thanks, and he's off. So what's the story here? The old man was so tired and withered and worn by the end that he came home, rested, recuperated with the wild woman, right? Baba Yaga, the wild woman, this ultimate nurturer, and then went back out. She wasn't panicked when he fell through the door. She didn't hop up and go, oh my God, Charleston, what happened? What happened to you? She didn't do all that. Hairs, Hair, so hairs out of his head. These kind of hairs. So she didn't panic or anything like that, because this is normal. So what Estes is telling, her interpretations and what she explains from this story is that oftentimes when we creatives, when we feel a loss of energy, we feel failure. We feel like we cannot succeed. We feel like we have that there is no tomorrow. Like this is the end. This is our last hurrah. And oh my God, I don't know what's going on from here. I'm so upset. Blah blah blah. We do anything besides sit the fuck down and rest, because resting for some reason is foreign to us. Now, it's not for some reason, colonization, X, Y, and Z, but we don't have to get into all of that. What we want to focus here is, what do you do when you're in the cabin and that old woman is rocking you? So in other words, La Llorona. You realize that your water is poisoned. You're waiting until you have clarity. You let things pass, right? And you are also still in a state of rest, in a state of isolation, in a state of healing. You recognize that maybe you're letting something pass, but what do you do in the meantime while your energy is reworking itself? You've read your self-help books, you're journaling every day, but you can't keep making getting healthy a productivity thing, right? What is actual rest, and what does it mean to rest? I was talking to my partner about this, and I was saying, it's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about Pluto and Aquarius and what's going on with this old man and his transformation, because I want you all to remember that the old man is transforming. He was old and then he died, transformed into a child again, right? So this is a transformation that's happening. And the reason why I feel like the story came up so much is Pluto just went into Aquarius. We just left transformation of tradition, transformation of structure, of old values, of tried and true ways of things. That has all been transformed. Just think in terms of like the way you used to think about, or society used to think about things like church or things like school back in 2007. And now think about how people think about those old establishments and things that were tried and true. People don't think about them the same way anymore. They're not even run the same way anymore. Not even by the same people. Right. And between when Pluto was in Capricorn, old structures, authority figures, the external masculine world has been transformed. Right. When people think about all of those structures, they're not the same as they thought about them, interacted with them, felt about them in 2007. It's not the same. You cannot go back. It has been transformed, whether people want to admit that or not. which is why a lot of people who are very unconscious are running into a lot of roadblocks, right? Because they do not know how to function in the new world. They are not informed. So there's that. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, now it's transforming something totally different, right? Man, this is a lot. When it comes to the story of rest, Pluto is all about how you rest. It's all about how you transform. It's all about the moment of how you get to the cabin, the old man, steadily, how you sit and wait until you have clarity. You're young again. You have energy. You've been rejuvenated. And then you act. In those moments where you're sitting and waiting, the only thing you must do is follow your joy. I've been saying that so much in preparation for all of this, and to myself, to everybody else, but it really is the only thing that you can do is to get back to yourself. You must follow your joy. Now, I will also say this, because I've been looking at my natal chart lately, and trying to understand Pluto and how it moves. Look at all of the planets in your house that is Aquarius right now. If you have planets there, they are getting an upgrade. That means they are transforming. If your sun's there, the way in which the default of how you go about your life, whatever that means, how you go about your life is getting an upgrade. It will be transformed. So you need to be willing to sacrifice the way in which you go about life right now in order to gain something new. The more you hold on to stuff, especially ego, think sun, the more trouble you will have with this. If you're Mercury, the way you communicate is getting an upgrade in Aquarius. Now, how is it being upgraded? We can talk about all of that kind of stuff. Pay attention to, I have the Master, the Cosmos. You can either get that or houses 9 through 12, where I talk about the 11th house an awful lot. It's on a flash sale. I'd get the Master well, I haven't changed anything on the website yet. So I definitely just get the full course. But get that and learn the essence and the channel of the 11th house Aquarius. There's at least 2, maybe 3 hours of me talking about it. If you also get planets and aspects, that's another 3 or 4 hours of me talking about Aquarius energy, where you will understand all of the different perspectives and ways in which you can think about Aquarius energy and how that shows up in your life. So, but if Mercury's there, how you communicate is getting transformed. So be ready to let go of everything you think about, information, mindsets, how you get information, how you consume information, what you think about information. Get ready to have your whole mind blown about it and just transformed. The least attached you are to those things, the easier it will be. Venus, the way you create. Jupiter, the way you interpret expansion and opportunities. Your opportunity to change is expanding. So think about, be willing to let go of everything you think about that. What is there? Mars, how you act in the world. Get ready to let go of how you go about doing and putting in effort. Get ready to let go of all of the about that, to witness how it will change. And it will always change for the better. An upgrade is always better. So if you feel yourself at all panicked because, oh my God, the way that I normally do this isn't working. Okay, because you're getting an upgrade, babes. Upgrade. Upgrades are always better. They're always more efficient. It's faster. Does it come with a learning curve? Maybe. But fucking just enjoy the learning curve. You got blessed with an upgrade. Don't be somebody who gets a new fucking computer and then fucking cries about it. If you're the one in the office and the new Mac came out and you got the new Mac desktop and everybody's working on some fucking ancient Intel, don't be all, oh, it's so hard because I just don't know like where this button is and that. Bitch, shut the fuck up. You got a new fucking computer and everybody's working on an Intel. Okay? Oh, we can do so much. I can finally edit those videos that I've always wanted to make for YouTube. I can finally do this. I can finally do that. Yeah. Oh, well, how it's so overwhelming. There's so much that I can do. Bitch, just focus on one thing at a time. Oh, did I just give you homework to do while you're resting? Did I just give you homework to do while you're resting? What do you enjoy doing? Do you like making YouTube videos? And you just got an upgrade of an entire system where you can edit the videos. Do you know what software to use? Bitch, go to YouTube. Go to you. Oh, now you just spent your day resting on YouTube, consuming different videos and judging people for how they edit their videos and being like, I don't like that. And then finding the person who edits things the way that you love it. And you're like, I'm going to consume everything that this person does and rip it all off. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's the beginning of your transformative journey. You'll eventually learn how to put your own spin on it, but go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, did you just spend 2 days doing that instead of harping and ruminating over whatever the fuck came up 3 days ago and you just let it pass? Yep. Are you escaping? Nope. Are you waiting for clarification? Yes, and that is the difference. Escapism doesn't want clarification. Escapism just wants it to go away. It's fine with the polluted river and fantasies, but doesn't want to actually keep the river clean. If you escape, you will be the little match girl. If you try to escape, you will have problems. Oh, let me fix this. If you try to escape, you will have problems because you will be in a fantasy world doing and creating something from a polluted fucking channel. So whatever you make will be representative of the channel you made it in. If you are waiting for clarification, you will clear out the pollutants of whatever you're doing and working with naturally, because your intent is to heal, which means you're getting to the root of something and letting clarification take its place whenever it comes through. But you're not going to sit there and be panicked and wait. And when am I going to get clarity on this situation? Is it me, Jesus? Is it them? What should I do? I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking to my bracelet like it's a what would you do, Jesus bracelet. I remember the Christians were doing that when I was a kid. It was so interesting. I mean, I liked the bracelets. I was like, oh. I just kept making up new acronyms. I think it bothered some people. I'd be like, what would Judy do? I would always, say something new, and they'd be like, I'd be like, you guys take Jesus stuff way too seriously. But, anyways, enough about them. But my point is instead of ruminating over your healing, you acknowledge it. You go do something you enjoy. Understand that because you acknowledged it, you are going to get an upgrade. If you acknowledge that your computer doesn't work for making the YouTube videos, it's just an example. My computer doesn't work. And then the universe brings you something new that does work. Don't bitch and cry because you got something new and it has a learning curve. The learning curve requires a new mindset and perhaps a new lifestyle, so it requires new information for you to consume to be able to use it. You must go about that in a childlike, new, foolish way, meaning with child wonder, not with ignorance, with child wonder. That's what I use. I use. My mom is Judy. There we go, Rebecca. That was for you. But see, don't go about that, or go about it with childlike wonder, right? And now you were activating childlike wonder, the child, the rejuvenated baby with the golden hair that the old lady is holding. And then what happens when your childlike wonder comes back and you say, fuck it, you make that stupid, silly little video, and then you're editing it, and you're like, wow. And you're like, wow, I'm really doing it. That's the little baby crawling out of the things. Okay, I'm off to go see this thing through. I'll be back when I'm old and crusty again and tired for the next new idea. So sometimes you have these big cycles that are happening like that. Estes mentioned a few, which was fucking insane because all of them happened to me all at once. And I'm going to mention it because I was like, wow. And I feel like it's important. Like a lot of people probably need to hear this one. Let me scroll. 3 golden hairs. Here we go. Okay. Nope, it's not that one. Did I not highlight it? Oh! Okay. So essentially, oh my goodness, I hate when I don't have. Okay, so essentially, there's a part in chapter 10 where Estes talks about the different, what happens to a person when, like this cycle, like kind of things that might happen. Let me search for a word. I know how to find this. Opus. Okay. No. Apparently she uses the word opus many times. Oh, here we go. Go follow you. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so neither should we panic when we lose our momentum or focus, but like her, we must calmly hold the idea. So sometimes when you have an idea, it's like a little old man, okay, and it comes and it's all worn out and shit like that, and it doesn't feel like much of anything. And you just got to sit with it for a while, okay? Be with it a while. Whether our focus is on self-development, world issues, or relationship doesn't matter. The animus, your shadow, will wear down. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Completing long endeavors, such as finishing school, concluding a manuscript, fulfilling one's opus, caregiving an ill person, all of these have their times when the once young energy turns old, falls down, and can go on no longer. So for me, all those things happen. I finished school, and then next year I concluded a manuscript, and then I want to say 3 years after that, I fulfilled my opus. I wrote Smash It. Man, I knew it was an opus because I did not expect it or see it coming, but it's a Shakespeare retelling. It's like, I always fancied myself a genre author, and I ended up authoring a literary fiction. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's good. Oh my God, I blow my mind every time I reread it. I'm like, wow, this bitch is smart. Every time I think I get myself where I'm like, plot hole, I'm like, oh, twist. And I'm like, how the fuck did I surprise myself? Sprinkle, sprinkle. This is the fourth time I've read this. So like, yeah, it was my opus. And then caregiving an ill person. My spouse got hit with long-term COVID. That was scary. 2020. It was a very scary 2 years, like very scary. And my culture, my world, you do not speak death onto a person. You don't even mention, you only speak life and health, and you have to mitigate emotionally, mentally, everything. And I was on overdrive after finishing school. That was some years ago though, like 2012 or whatever. And then concluding a manuscript. So I overcame another big thing. I finished school. I didn't care about that. I was like, well, I got to write my first book. I did that. And I was like, well, I got to get it published. I did that. And then I was like, well, I have to. And I was about to have my breakdown. And then I was like, I've got to fix this person who's not well. They're sick. I have to understand the cosmos so that I can understand how to help them heal their own body. And then that happened. And then I was like, and then my animus was like, bitch, I'm done. And I was like, wait, what do you mean you're done? I was like, what do you mean? What else? We need to, I'm like shaking and shit like that. I'm not really. I'm much more chill with it because I have my meltdowns and stuff like that gracefully. I just pretend like I'm in a movie and that I'm watching it so that I can weep cinematically. So at least while it's happening and I've got snot in my nose and stuff, I can at least enjoy some aspect of it and not just be full of self-pity. So, so my breakdowns, they were cute. They were cute. They were cinematic. Very main character. But nonetheless, my shadow literally came through. I've always had a very good relationship with myself, so to speak. So it really came through, but it got old and I got freaked the fuck out. I was like, whoa, what is this thing called we're done? I was like, we're never done. Man, when I tell you I've had to be strong-armed into rest, I'm still I still work on it. I was playing a video game yesterday. And I'm telling you, I am on the Discord, right? I added a space to like talk about and share video games and stuff like that. And I remember I have a playlist of video games and I was scared to share it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to share this and everyone's going to be like, bitch, shouldn't you be doing work? And I was like, what are these people going to care? It was like, how am I going to sit here and tell you guys all day to sit the fuck down, chill, relax, rest, all of that, and then turn around and be like, don't show them you resting, because then they'll know that you're resting and you're not like literally 10 hands on the grindstone. And I was like, whoa, who's that? Where's that coming from? And I realized that was coming from me. There was a version of me that was watching me in the background. It's very much I have a lot of planets that all got upgraded during Capricorn time. So there was a seriousness for me when Pluto entered Capricorn. I was like, bitches, honor roll. We're going through this through honor roll. I didn't even know what was going on. I just opted for honor rolls. I was like, we're getting through this flying colors. You know what I mean? So that meant that I really held on to this idea of discipline and moving forward and productivity. And no one should have to tell you to get things done. You should be able to do that yourself. You should be able to manage your own time, which means I start to overmanage my time. started to have this voice in the background and then project it onto others. So I'm sharing this so that you guys can see how deeply embedded it is. I do it as well. And I have to catch myself and train myself out of it, where I will project my own inner voice that's trying to get me to do something onto imaginary people on top of that. Because while I've got y'all at the Midnight Scholar Society, the versions of you that are judging me for not working aren't real. Y'all aren't thinking about me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you all are living your own lives. That's not real. So I have to constantly be like, whoa, this is when I know that I'm getting a little too addicted to work. I'm wanting, and, you know, obviously I enjoy what I do. So it's, you know, I say this as somebody who really does enjoy the work that I do all the time. I'm an author. I enjoy the work that I do. So it's easy for me to truly believe that I should be doing it. And I also should be grateful to do the work that I enjoy, X, Y, and Z. There's some toxicity that goes there too. So it's not just about doing what you enjoy. It's about just being and allowing yourself to enjoy no matter what. You should be allowed to spend your whole day staring at a wall. No judgment. No judgment. Just being like, that's what I'm doing. Kaz. Yeah, I know. Kaz, recommended the video game that I'm playing right now, which is Witchwood, and oh my god, I am enjoying it so much. I started playing yesterday. I played through the whole like first part, and I was like, oh, this is legit. This is everything I like all in one. Just when I think I might get bored, I might not like it, I'm just like, oh, there's another twist and turn. So yeah, deep creative over there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, by the way, I still need to move your Substack into a place to talk about, like to share, because I've got show off your creations, but that's not quite it. So we'll figure out a place on the Discords where somebody asked to start a channel where you guys can share like entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And I want a place where people can share where their Substacks are, things like that, because, you know, it's really important that we engage in community. Like if you're interested in something, you like something, you know, be connected to someone who does it and who does it with joy, because that also is, this is mentioned in the story. You need to be around people who are warm to your creativity. Somebody who enjoys what they do, just being able to watch them and to be a part of their expression of that, right? Just reading their newsletter is being a part of it. That warmth feeds your own, and it's very validating. It's so important. I said that to my partner too. We were talking about the different ways with him when it comes to resting. He was telling me, you know, one of his techniques and something that he works on, and I was working on something different, but I was like, I'm really appreciative of like sharing these things, because then I know that it's not just me. And I felt so silly saying that. I even teared up and cried, and I was like, oh my God, we're doing it again. My moon's in Capricorn, so every time I cry, I'm like, oh, like, girl, get it together. What are you, a Cancer? It's like, and I'm like, just let me cry, shut up. But anyways, I even teared up because I was like, at least I know I'm not, you know, I'm not alone and like struggling with that. And it's silly because I know that I'm not alone. Like intellectually, we know all this stuff. We, you know, like you can be on TikTok and be part of communities with hundreds of thousands of people who are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. But it's still very good to constantly have that warmth around you, because that's how you normalize to the point where whenever you're not in that space, you're like, whoa, what self-care do I need to do? Because this is normal. Why am I judging myself? It just makes it easier for you to recognize when something's wrong. So we don't necessarily lean on having shared experiences and lean on other people and their creativity to enlighten us and this and that. No, we use it as a stasis. This is normal. Anyone telling me that it's not normal is someone who literally does not have weight in my worldview. You know what I mean? Someone's telling me, oh, nobody writes books these days. But I'm like, my whole industry and all the people that I know are people who write books. You know, someone tries to tell me that's no way to make money, X, Y, and Z, and they've never been in publishing before. And I like hang out with and talk to people who that's their career is publishing. So they're telling me all of the ins and outs and like none of the high delusional stuff, just the regular schmegular stuff, you know. When you hear those opinions that come from people that just don't have the range, you can tell. and you don't allow that to impact you. So that's what it's more about, is about putting yourself in places and spaces where when people have those opinions that would kind of dim your light, there's something else there that is still burning really bright, that even if you dimmed yours, their brightness is shining through, and you're like, actually, you know what? No, that's not it for me. This date is over. This friendship has sailed its course. This job is like not it. You can make those kind of choices and decisions. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all I would have talked about, which would have been that was like about an hour, and then we would have had our talks and stuff. But I think, yeah, oh my God, we're just going to save, because I see there's like 3 of you still here, but I see like most of you are on TikTok live. So we'll save talking about it maybe to the next time somehow, or I know that I have the book club chat space in here. I got to build out the Discord a bit more. I'm just going to type something, but here we are. I'm still going to build it out, I think, because our book club chat space is looking a little... Discord's great, but it's not the best. Like, I would have loved to be able to have a forum on this one, and then, like, we can just talk about this particular story. Maybe I should do that really quick. Oh, I do have the reading room. Yeah. Oh, I do have the book club discussion deep dives. Okay. I mean, we can talk on there. Not me not knowing what's in my own Discord. Y'all a mess. Anyways, yeah, we can talk a little bit about there, and then we'll find a time, I think, to kind of rework it in. Maybe I'll put a poll up or something in the newsletter to see if you guys want to reschedule the talk for it. Maybe it'll be after I get my computer. Can you tell I'm excited for it? I use so many phrases about, you've got this new upgraded computer. I'm so happy about mine, but it hasn't arrived yet. Mercury in retrograde. Yeah. I'm suffering, but I'm not going to complain. So yeah, I think that's it. Keep some, throw some away. Oh, by the way, I'll mention this. This was from the 3 Golden Hairs, which I thought was really important, and I want to share it because as a writer and an author, this has been really important for me. So I told you in the story, when the old man is turned into a baby again, she pulls out 3 of the hairs and she throws them on the ground, right? Then off he goes. So whenever you create something or you're going back, especially this is a rebirth story, right? So consider, I'll use myself an example. Whenever I'm working on books or novels, like I have so many manuscripts, I have some that are completed. I've just never done anything with them because they're not really done for some reason. I've had some where I've tried to shop them out and then I've had them pulled and I'm like, no, it's not quite right, or X, Y, and Z. There's just something, whether it's the market, there's always something. So if you have a project that you have a hard time working with, like it's it's failure to launch, okay? Whether it's you who fails to launch it, or it's every time you launch it, it just like, wah, and you're like, something's not right there. And you bring it back. When you bring it back to you, when you have an idea that comes to you and you don't know what to do, take 3 good things and throw them away. Take just three parts of it and toss it and just, I'm telling you this for a reason. One is, what happens when you pull hairs off of the head of a baby? It's going to get upset. Children, I'm telling you, mine are older and they're still very sensitive on the scalp. Okay. One of mine, if he gets a haircut, he starts to cry because he's like, the ends. And I'm like, does it hurt? Because my bro, it's not supposed to. And he's like, it's just, it pulls. And I'm like, oh my goodness, so sensitive. So imagine pulling 3 hairs out of a baby's head. It's probably, it brings it to life a bit. It wakes it the fuck up. Oh, what the fuck was that, right? The same thing happens with your ideas. When you yank things out of an idea, ideas are sentient. They're sentient. They're real. Sometimes you hear about people who are like, I was abducted by aliens. They told me that I have hybrid children. I'll never see them. Those are their creations. You're never going to see them because they are in non-material form. They're sentient, but they are sentient and energetically tied to something else. Like, for instance, an organization, the Midnight Scholar Society is a child that I birthed, right? Will you ever see its body? Will you ever see it as that? Or will you always see it as the Midnight Scholar Society, a club that you go to, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, but it has a feel to it. You interact with it in a different way. It changes, it grows. It'll have some shrinkage at some point in time. You know what I mean? Where some things no longer are available and new things grow. It's alive. It's alive through the collective efforts of others, but it was birthed first in one way, shape, or form. Those are also children. So sometimes I think when people hear about when they're having those alien experiences, they don't have enough information to understand what that stuff really means. So it's all kind of cosmic, you know what I mean? But try to bring it down to practicality. You have children, they're called your creations, whether you have physical ones that have manifested in human form or non-corporal ones that have manifested in non-corporal forms as anything else. Your life is a child, an altar to yourself, right? So when you remove 3 things from it, it's like it's aggressively pulling something out of it. It sparks it awake again. And either it's going to scream and shout to get those things back and start running. Whoa, you ever take something from a kid and then you have to listen to 1,000 reasons? Like they've got justifications from here to fucking eternity about why they need things to go back to the way that they were. Why they don't like this new shift or change. Your imagination, your creations, your ideas do the same thing. The more you give it time to rest, the louder it gets, the more it'll try to pull on your attention. And then when you do give it your attention, the more you can stoke that fire, stoke that flame. But like pulling those hairs out is a nice igniter. Some authors will throw away their whole transcripts. I recently meditated and I was like, man, I read that part and I was like, my whole laptop, I accidentally spilled water on it. And I use Scrivener. I usually back it up on a cloud service. And I had not turned on that cloud service since June 24th of this year. So none of my stuff from June 24th to the date November 5th, the election, nothing was saved. Nothing. And I was like, gasp. And I mean, I didn't really feel bad about it because I was like, it's not like I wrote a book between now and then. Thank God. Maybe that's why I didn't, right? Can you imagine if I had ignored and really tried hard and put all this energy into making something that I couldn't make. And I was like, well, it's fine. I just need to get that draft down. And I had half a book done and then it just all disappeared anyways. I'd have been super fucking pissed. So I'm glad I listened to old me, pat myself in the back past me for learning to sit the fuck down and that, and to create when you feel called to. But also that space, not only is like, do I have space cloud-wise that's, freed up, but that space creatively in which I can then do anything. I can write anything. I can start from anywhere I want to. It's a reminder of your own freedom. So throw some away, keep some of your ideas, but pull them apart, throw some stuff away, actually get rid of it. If you can delete something, oh man, if you don't want to delete it and you're having a hard time putting that shit in the trash and then hitting empty, ooh, try it. Maybe delete just a little bit. Go slow with it maybe. But the point is to recognize that the creativity comes from within you. And it can be born, it can be stoked, and it can be inflamed within you. It is not what is external, it is what is internal. So I just wanted to leave you guys with that. Yeah, and I'll try to download this live and put it up on YouTube and then link it in the newsletter. This might be an unlinked, it might not be an unlinked one. I wasn't going to go live on this at all. That's so funny. And I wasn't going to, I was just going to record and do the podcast part of this, but perhaps this was meant to be. We're in some really interesting times. So I will say everybody at book club, that's it. I'll stick around for a little bit if anybody has any questions on the live or on the book. If the 3 of you who are still here in the chat portion of Discord, not the ones of you that are on live, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. For all of you who are in the live, if you have any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit and answer and talk a little bit about that Pluto and Aquarius energy and what to expect. I mentioned some of it earlier, especially with, oh, hey, Jude. Love you. Oh, Pluto emoji disappeared. Oh, no, there was a Pluto emoji? Not me, not me concerned. Felt called to throw away some notebooks. It is super hard, honestly. Stuff like that, like, it's hard. But I will say this on top of it. I'm so glad, Mia, that I pop up at the right time. It's all energetic, you know. But the reason why it's super hard all the time, and I actually wrote this in my morning pages, funny enough, which I'll kind of, that's what I'll tell you guys about how your planets guide you. So it's really difficult to, when you put your heart into something, to let it go. That is the nature of it. That is the nature of learning to love and to let go, is that you have to embrace that grief and that death process, knowing that what that physical aspect of it is but a manifestation of what you actually have. That the only thing you truly, truly will ever keep eternally is non-corporal. Okay, it's just your energy. Non-corporal, and I said this to my kid today, which I'll mention here too. I'll draw it on this as an example. We were talking about math today, and why it's important to keep a math notebook, you know, or a notebook, anything that you're studying, whatever you're studying, keep a notebook. And if you're not studying anything particularly, but you're just living your life, keep a commonplace notebook. And it's just a place where you write things down. Yeah, it's just a place where you write things down and that speak to you, right? Commonplace notebook. I love notebooks. I have this one. And keep it dated. You don't have to, you know, make it however you want to, whatever the fuck you want to do with it. Write down anything. Make it as messy as you want, as neat as you want. The point is to use it. You can put stickers in it. Sometimes you cannot do anything. Sometimes we do like imaginary sessions play for the kids and stuff like that. And like I just take notes in there and draw during those things. If you have kids, it's important for your kids to see you. Do healthy imaginative play, do healthy all sorts of things so that they know how to do those. They can know how to and what to expect from others, because if you do it in a respectful way, then that will be their baseline. Now, that being said, when you keep a notebook, your brain, this is going to be your brain. Okay, I'm just going to write brain on there, because what is that, right? Okay, so this is your brain. Okay, and in your brain, all of the everything is imaginary. Okay, there's nothing real up there. It's all non-real. It exists, but it's non-real. It's non-corporal. Okay. You have a lot of shit going on in your brain. So how does your brain organize stuff? In a very fractal pattern. So imagine this box is a storage space in your brain. A box within a box within a box within a box within a box is some information stored. And you've got tons of boxes in your brain with tons of things stored. And what does that look like? I mean, who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? But either way, your brain is constantly trying to organize information. If you were constantly reading books, right? This is tons of information that your brain needs to organize. And let me see, you're a person. Ooh. This is so ugly. If you're a person reading books, you've got all this information. It goes into your brain. Now, how do you organize that information? You have to apply it. The only way to organize information in your brain is to apply it. What does applying mean? If you learn information about social justice, like doing things are harmful, then apply that information. That means look at your life. Have you ever done this behavior before? If yes, what can you do different? How did that impact other people? How did that impact you? What did that lead you to believe? What situations did it cause you to be in that are now negatively impacting you? Okay, so what is an example of something you can do different? Did what you read show you a different example? Do you agree? If you disagree, what about you makes you feel like you are qualified to pass judgment if you've been doing bad shit? And that's a serious that's a serious question. What makes you feel qualified as someone who has done something that is negative, feel like you can properly judge the right thing to do? Perhaps the reason you feel negative about the right thing is because you've been told to devalue it before. So how can you see value in this? Have you ever in your life practiced this type of thing in under a different circumstance. Do you see value in that? Yes. Ooh, who taught you that it's valuable here but not valuable there? Oh my God, the pastor man. Oh, does he also beat his wife? Rumors, he does. Rumor, he covered up like all sorts of other nasty things. Do we need to listen to that man? No, we can release him. Do we need to feel shame because we were taught to listen to Pastor Man and then watched Pastor Man do terrible things and then had this moment of realization when reading something and then did all this work in that moment to No, you ain't got to feel shame. You don't have to feel shame for stuff that you did that you didn't know that you were doing wrong. You just have to change. Once you change, then you have done what the work was required for you to do. And once you change, you'll know that you've changed because you no longer participate and or allow that type of behavior anymore. Boom. Do you need to feel shame for past things and behaviors? No. If somebody's trying to force you to, they're probably projecting some shit onto you. Do you need to sit there for that? That's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I personally don't. I don't sit for shit. If I ain't do something, if somebody's like, well, in the past, and I'll be like, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. And if you're talking about the past and you did not bring it up in the past, and you're only bringing it up now because you're mad about something, but you didn't bring it up then, and I've since healed from that and no longer do that and have actually done the opposite of that and helped you, and see, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing projection time. Okay. Now, if somebody brings up something that I did and I'm like, oh yeah, I did used to do that, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I know I did. Can you tell me about that so I can really understand how I impacted you? Listen, shut the fuck up and listen. And then just listen, and just listen, and just listen, and just listen. That's it. And if that person has questions, answer, give honest answers. Well, why did you do that? Well, because of this. That sounds like a justification. Well, you asked me a question. You asked me a question. Respect goes both ways. I know that I hurt you. I'm listening and I'm trying to rectify that, but it requires us both to have respect. You don't have to let people disrespect you because you're listening and acknowledging, et cetera, et cetera. But also respect and understand that they are emotionally fragile and frustrated in X, Y, and Z because you caused harm. So of course they're going to act out, but only to some degrees. And also it's necessary for both people to be calm to be able to heal anything. You don't want your doctor, you and the other person, all addled up with emotions like y'all been taking shots and then doing surgery. No. If it gets too emotional, you take a break and then you come back. Boom. You know what I mean? Is that hard work? Yes. But that's called applying information. When you apply, your brain organizes things and then it becomes knowledge, belief. Now, what happens, right? This is one way of applying information, is by sitting and reflecting on your life and stuff like that. What happens when it's information that you can't really apply right away? So for instance, I'm going to talk about something way less triggering. Talk about my child in math. I just had to make sure he wasn't sitting over there and eyeing me. Stop telling them about me and my math today. Oh, is that Kiki? Oh, so nice. Whoever turned that on, I'm grateful. Okay. So my kid did math today, right? He was trying to do all the numbers in his head. Mental fatigue. What do you do consistently that causes you mental fatigue? Some of you have to-do lists that run for days. Write that shit down. Stop juggling things in your head. Write it down. The moment it comes up and your PDA, you know, the PDA, oh, you got to do this. Oh, got to turn on this. Got to organize this. Got to do. Write it down somewhere. Just write it down. Have a notebook, and every day, this is something I used to do to help me get out of creativity burnout and productivity burnout, is I would just write my to-do list. In fact, I think I have one down here. I'm just making sure there's nothing crazy in there. Okay. So here's a to-do list, just down here at the bottom, NBA. Like, I just have like some stuff that I got to do, work stuff, school stuff, just little things here, there, and the other. Did I complete everything on this list? Absolutely the fuck not. I think I did like 2 things. I also have enjoy conversation, enjoy a meal, and have unexpected fun, big surprise. How can I to-do myself unexpected surprise, and to enjoy some big surprise? How can I put that on a to-do list? I'm preparing myself to be grateful for surprising moments and to acknowledge them. Put stuff on your to-do list like human care, food, enjoy your food. Socializing. Enjoy socializing. Put things on your list that not only speak to how you will enjoy it and how you will experience it, but things that you know you need to have and get done, that you do, so that you can acknowledge that, yes, eating a meal takes time out of your day. You have to find it, prepare it, whatever, right? That takes time, and you are taking care of yourself. That is a productivity thing. Just having stuff from work, just having stuff from, like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, that list goes on for forever. I know. The list will go on forever. It will never get short. There will never be something that you are not needed to do. You need to have your days where you work, and you can put some things and figure out what you're going to focus on. Put that on your to-do list. Chunk it down. There's plenty of information on how to organize time and stuff like that. Chunk it down. Put it on a list. And then let it go. Close the book. Close the book. Advice for if we feel lost and our to-do list is stacked. So what you're going to do, if you have a long to-do list, first of all, you're going to find priorities on that list. You're going to, if you feel lost, you need to sit down and rest. You're probably doing way too fucking much, and you feel lost because there's so much to do. You are overwhelmed. Feeling lost is a sign of being overwhelmed. I have too much to do. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to start with. I don't know where to start, or I'm apathetic. I don't know where to go, what to start with. I just don't feel like doing any of it. Either way, it's overwhelmed. So what you're going to do, you're going to make your to-do list. And then you're going to let the universe decide. This is my current pendulum. I have like so many different types. Funny enough, this is just broke. This was part of a necklace and it broke. And so it's just a moon. This is the one I just keep on my desk. You're going to make a to-do list, and you're going to figure out, first of all, if you're working with a pendulum, make sure, generally you're perfectly fine. Just be like, okay, my higher self. This is between me and my higher self. Oh, look at that. My pendulum already started moving. Yes, it is. It doesn't matter how much I move. What is no? There we go. Side to side. So for me, back and forth is always yes. No is always side to side. So what you're going to do is you're just going to have that. What is happening here? Is it crazy magic? You're an electromagnetic field. You know what yes means for you in your body, and you know what no means for you in your body. Just because you do or don't listen to yourself. Oh, you might want to plug in your computer. Oh my God. It's like it's going to die. Oh my God. We only have so much time to plug it in. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had to make that a joyous game for myself. Anyways. You're an electromagnetic field. Your body, this is just communication between you and the plasma that you can't see. It's not crazy science. It's not weird. It's not debunking. Nobody's moving it. You can move it. But also, this is just interacting based on energy. If you could see it, you wouldn't think it was magic. You just think it was, called it the law of plasma, the law of dark matter, whatever the fuck people want to call it when they finally figure out the science and all the words to figure out how to explain quantum, right? Once they figure out those words, they'll just call it that. The same way you throw a ball up and down and it comes down, you call it gravity. This is just also a form of a natural law that's going on, but it's based on your electromagnetic field. That's it. So what you're going to do is you're going to make your list, right? You're going to prioritize. There are going to be some things that you need to get done today. If that's the case, put that on a priority. Only have 2, maybe maximum 3 of those things, and know the load. If you have something on your list, it's going to take you 3 hours. 2 things maximum, maybe. One thing that's going to take you 3 hours and one thing that's going to take you 15 minutes. Know the different types of task. Mental task. Anything that probably has to do with work or organizing or thinking is a mental task. Stuff that requires your physical body to go do. Did you hit your face with it? No. Anything that requires your physical body to go do is a physical task. So if you need to cook, that's a physical task. You're standing, you're making things, you're moving back and forth here and there. It's also a mental task. So you're going to be using some of your mental cognition. It's also slightly spiritual because you will be using your imagination to think of what you want and how you're going to put it all together, et cetera, et cetera. So know the types of what you're going to be using in your body, because you need to measure out how much energy you have physically, emotionally, mentally. Emotional is all social tasks. Socializing is a emotion and mental game. And slightly spiritual. But you have your physical, your emotion, mental, and your spiritual bodies. What energy do you have in each one of those to do whatever task? If you really don't fucking know, pendulum. just make your list and say, am I going to do this today? No. Am I going to do this today? No. Am I going to enjoy a meal? Oh, yeah, bitch, you know we are. I haven't eaten dinner yet, and I hear that it's pork chops, so I'm excited. Okay, am I going to do book club today? Yes. Will I have technical difficulties? Wow, look at that bitch swing. Yeah. Are we going to succeed anyways? Oh, bitch is about to hit the phone. She hit the phone. Yes, we're succeeding anyways. Okay, will it be a colossal fail? And it ruined my entire life and nothing go well ever again? No. Am I being I'm being stupid, aren't I? I'm being ridiculous. See, you see how all that energy just dropped? All that energy just dropped because I dropped. It matches you. Sometimes you're confused about whether you feel good about something or negative about something in your head. You're just confused about reading your own body, your own levels. That doesn't mean your body's confused. Your body's telling you all the time what your levels are. And your body's like, she can't hear us. Just use a pendulum. It's very easy. Or you can do rocks. If you have 2 rocks, the Alchemist is a great example of having a pouch with 2 identical rocks, 2 different colors. One's yes, one's no. It's the same thing. What you're doing is you're putting chance into the universe, and then you're giving yourself to faith because you can't really see. You at a certain point, what you're saying is, do I believe in what I can't see, which is myself? I can't see myself. Do I believe in myself, though? Yes. So I can stop thinking that I need physical proof of what I should do before I do it. Yes. Sometimes we're overwhelmed because we're like, which one is going to give us the most benefit? So you will sit trying to figure out what to do item will give you the most benefit to the point where you don't do anything. And then, oh, I'm confused. I don't think any of these things. That's not the case. You just stop believing in your own sense of self to be able to communicate with yourself. So that's all a pendulum does. So that's what you're going to do if you don't know how to figure out like what to do on your to-do list. That's how you sort it out. Now, I say that to say this. I'm a very strict analytical, my Virgo South Node, okay? So while my North Node is in Pisces, I'm very naturally skeptical of anything that I am not in control of at all times. It's the Taurus Earth energy in me, okay? Swear to God, I have the Earth elementals in me are strong. Okay? So I am very much always saying this. This is but a tool. Do not rely on this to understand yourself. Just allow this to help you take the steps that you need to run a little scientific experiment. For 1 week, I'm going to just follow my intuition on my to-do list come what may. And if I get confused, I'm going to stop and stay still. I'm just going to practice for a week. What's the worst that could happen in a week with me going based on my intuition about my to-do list? The worst that can happen is you get behind in some stuff if like you freak out and panic and nothing gets done. That was already happening anyway since the burnout, babes. You know what I mean? We're already juggling. So what's the best that can happen? I can gain more information about myself. I can learn when I start using this. Oh my goodness. I keep asking myself to use the pendulum to find out whether I should go on a date with this person. You confused about whether you enjoying time out with a person or not? Keep using the pendulum to figure out whether you should send that text message or not. Sounds like somebody's stressing you the fuck out. Why are you confused? See? Oh, now we know to sit with ourselves. It's bigger than the question, why do I need this to answer a question? Why don't I already know? No shame in that. We have tools for a reason, but the tool and utilizing the tool lets us know that we're a little short on having the confidence to just go with whatever our first gut instinct is, or that we're not feeling it. I'm not feeling my gut instinct. Where is it? Why is it so quiet in here? Why is it so quiet? You know, that means something too. So, yeah, use the pendulum for that. As I was saying, when you are learning information and stuff like that, you need to apply it. You need to apply it in real time. So either apply it retrospectively to be able to understand how it has impacted you thus far, it's good to do that regardless. And then also find a way to apply it in real time. Sometimes there are things like doing math problems. Like, how are you, he's just learning stuff, right? How can he apply math that he's learning in real time? Here's a secret. Keep a notebook. Write down and organize things on paper. When you organize things on paper, you never need to necessarily go back to it again. But there's a reason why notes work. First, keep it organized. If it's organized on your paper, meaning you know what something is. If you put just about anything in your notebook like I do, organize it by day. That's it. Just a day. Everything else, a mess. But organize it by day. If you like to put quotes and stuff, make sure that you have the book title, the author, and maybe the date that you read it. That's it. And then write down your quotes. If you, whatever it is, just find one way to organize things and keep it so that you can look through and search through something. What you're doing in your brain is you're telling your brain this is important information and here is how you put it away. Your brain, you can't see yourself organizing things in your brain, but your soul is in there, and your soul, like, just imagine for a second, you've got a whole fucking internal world, and there are tons of people there who live there. They're all called your cells, okay? And your soul is the overlord of the place, okay? And your soul's like, oh, we're doing math today. Hey, I need the Department of Math to come up here with us because we're doing that. The department's going to come up with a notebook that looks just like yours. Well, here's where we kept it last time, X, Y, and Z. Every time you get stuck on something and you're like, oh, I don't even know what this is. And you look at it and you're like, well, it reminds me of, guess what your soul's doing. Oh, go to that page. Yep. And you're sitting there thinking, and you're like, maybe I should get my notebook. Oh, here it is. I just thought of it. Did you really just think of it? Do you think you were that fucking magical that you can remember every fucking thing? You're remembering things from different timelines half the time. You're downloading information from the cosmos. You really think that it's you. You really think that it's your dumbass doing it. No offense to all of you. I think I'm a fucking genius all the time, and I know I'm dumb as shit when it comes to being able to remember, like, insane amounts of information over my entire lifetime. Absolutely the fuck not. This bitch is too fucking simple to be doing all that, okay? Rocks can do math on computers. I am not a rock. Okay, I do a lot. There's a lot going on. I can't keep all that organized. I'm not doing it. You have entire systems in your the entirety of you that are sentient and alive and are helping you. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit about your guides and stuff like that. But you have a whole systems, and they organize the way that. But like, there's a miscommunication between the material world and also your non-corporeal world, your non-material world. If you just start keeping a notebook and writing things down, it helps your brain, all of the sentience of information, organize itself because you're telling it how to organize. You know you the best. You know that you like looking at notebooks with color. You know, this is me. You know that you randomly like to scroll through and go, oh, what a cute picture. What a cute little sticker. Oh my God. You know that you never left fucking kindergarten when it came to coloring. You know that you love list. You know that you like to see yourself complete things. You know all of that, so you can organize in a way that you understand information. When you do that, your brain chemistry changes. It organizes in the same way that you do in the material world. So when you do that, you create more trust between you and your non-material self to be able to transfer information. There's a reason why my channels are very clear, and it's easy for me to like just sit up here and talk nonstop and X, Y, and Z in organized information. Y'all, I'll be totally honest. I hardly keep track of anything. Like in my brain, everything is either written down somewhere, and I just trust that it all will organize and be fine. Okay? I just trust. And it all works out. Why? Because the world is way bigger than me. If I tried to control everything, honestly. First of all, I give up because fuck that. I'm tired. But second of all, that's really fucking narcissistic and really, really, it's really self-serving to think that you can control everything, including how you retrieve information, this, that, and the other, that you don't have organs that have their own sentience. Your gut is a second brain, for crying out loud. Like, there's so much sentience around us that deserves our reverence, and also our communication, that sometimes, as domesticated humans, when you're cut off from that, you really truly believe that you can do it all. You can't. So organize your information. When you learn new stuff, find a place to put it. Journaling helps. You don't need to write every little thing down. Just write down stuff that's relevant to you, that really kind of turns you, makes your lights go off, that you feel illuminated by. So I'm going to finish on this. Pluto's moving into Aquarius. Something that I've realized, and I'm just going to say this for people who showed up recently, because I mentioned this earlier. I was looking through my natal chart and stuff like that looking at how, what it looked like for me when Pluto transitioned through Capricorn, and now that it's going through Aquarius. And one thing I will say is this: whatever planets you have in Aquarius, they are getting an upgrade. I mentioned that earlier. They are also your guides through that transformation. So for instance, my moon sign was in Capricorn during the transit of Pluto going through Capricorn. So first, I had to learn the lesson of love. Your moon sign is representative of your heart chakra. Okay, it is the divine connection between you and your inner world, your soul, all that kind of stuff. I talk about that in the houses, Cosmos to the houses. You can get it flash sale, $50. I haven't changed it yet on the website because I've I've just been lazy. I'm too busy playing games, and I haven't got my computer yet. That's probably when I'll really change it, to be totally fucking honest. Is when I finally just have my website up and I can just sit down and do that without having to get the laptop out and do it. Anyway, so my point is that I talk an awful lot about the fourth house and the stories that are in the fourth house, like Selene, the goddess, the Greek. I talk about the Greek stories that you can find there, so you can really understand what the fourth house is, but also what the moon represents for you, because the moon is your channel into your inner world. So the conversation between you and your soul is colored by your moon, what sign it is, and what house it's in. Mine just happens to be in the ninth house, so it's velocity and stuff like that, but it's also Capricorn a little bit, also a bit of, Sagittarius. But anyways, I digress. My point is that when my moon sign was upgraded, my Uranus was upgraded, Neptune, Saturn, most millennials, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus was upgraded. That is how society, how we interact in our channels, how we get information from and transmit to society. Also for me, how I get information to and transmit between me and my soul. So all that got upgraded. The way in which I had to go about those upgrades was not only through a Saturnian way, meaning authority, lessons on authority, legacy, tradition, discipline, work, time, experience, wisdom, all of those types of concepts, right? I had to deal with that. But also when it came to the channel between me and my soul. So can you guess how my soul showed up to talk to me? Under the Saturnian kind of way in the ninth house, which is also about belief systems. So legacy, tradition, belief systems. Can you imagine why I started a cult society where I discuss mythology, belief systems with people? In time, I had to put in the work and effort and all that kind of stuff, right? But I built a system, legacy, foundation, all of that kind of stuff. My reputation has always been this type of stuff in some way, shape, or form, mainly in literature, but now in the spiritual spaces and places, ninth house. See what I'm saying? Is it any wonder that all that happened? Because I leaned into it, it was very nice for me, okay? When you lean away from the transformation that's happening, so look at what's going on in Aquarius, what planets you have in there. When you lean away from it, it will become more difficult. I'm not telling you that so that you get afraid and you're like, I must lean in. No, use that as a guide. If you don't know, your Venus sign is in Aquarius, and you've been dealing with creativity lately, right? And trying to get your stuff and share. Maybe you're like, should I try social media? I fucking hate social media. Blah, 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 blah. I don't even like that way. If I could do it this way, I would do it this way. But who would even... Do it that way. If you don't do it that way and you find that you are miserable, guess what? You're not leaning into it. So if you're miserable, let it go and ask yourself, ask your most successful self, ooh, who are you talking to? The upgrade. Ask and align yourself to the upgraded Venus energy. What would you do? If you hear nothing, shut the fuck up, sit down, and go do something else with your time. Venus will respond, most likely in your environment, or specifically because, to be totally fucking honest, that's dated information. For me, it was shut the fuck up and wait in time because Capricorn. But for you, it'll probably happen immediately. You might pick up a book and be like, am I Cleopatra? I was reading her memoir and everything in this book is me. No, you're not Cleopatra. You're just downloading information immediately right here, right now to answer the question that you asked. So if Cleopatra got her like reputation or her story around by, I don't know, using some crazy, like, I don't know, just whatever thing you picked up there, go and apply it. Go try it. You can apply it first through retrospect, or through physically doing something out in the world with that information. So the point that I'm making is if you feel uncomfortable, you may be leaning away from the transformation. Lean into it. You will still feel uncomfortable, but you will feel uncomfortable and in the unknown. Okay? You're not fearful of what's happening. You're in the unknown. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Let it be that way. Aquarius is all unknown energy. Because it's out of time. It's not something that you can see. It's out of time. Remember, Aquariuses are visionaries. They always see things that other people don't see. And then finally it shows up and everybody's like, oh my God, yes, that's peanuts. So yeah, lean in. So, you said you're not quite leaning in. Lean in. It's uncomfortable. If you feel like you have to step out on faith, if you hear yourself saying, how the fuck am I supposed to do this when I don't even, just do it. It's Pluto. Pluto's all about transformation, and Pluto loves surprises. Pluto's like, surprise, bitch. I'm here. Heard about me for a while, didn't you? Hello. Pluto's like, hi. And then, slaps you in the fucking behind the back, and you turn around, you're like, who was that? And then you turn back around, and you're like, oh, and there's your gift. And Pluto's like, I know. I love to surprise you. And then slips out. It's that Uranus energy. Uranus loves coming in like a surprise. He took Dorothy, think of the tornado that took Dorothy from Kansas to Oz. Uranus is like, let me shake it up a little. He just loves the Shazam, So Pluto has a different cloak on these days. Back in my day, he was very traditional, very disciplined, very Saturnian. It was like giving Hades and Cronus, all about generational curses and breaking them, and very studious. He was a teacher and a mentor. This time, dude's showing up very differently. Okay, very differently. He had to put up that cloak, and now he's all about the shashang, I don't, if you watch Hank or King of the Hill, Dale Dribble is a good, how he's erratic, okay? He's really weird. He likes to pop in, and he's not the best. He's a broke down Uranus, okay? But that kind of energy is like, you never really know what to expect. You're a little weary. You're a little weary, that's how it's going to show up an awful lot. Is like, I'm here to transform you. And you're like, whoa, where the fuck did you even just come from? You didn't even use the front door. And he's like, yeah, I used the window. Who knew? You could go through windows. And you're like, whoa, that's called trespassing. Yeah, it might feel a little bit like that. So just practice the 4 things. Breathe, be calm, sit with it, let it pass. Because what he's doing is he's transforming all of the polluted energy, taking it out, so that what's left is your upgrade. So, all that. Yeah, that's it. Anybody have any questions? And then I'm probably going to leave. I feel like I smell food. Yes, I do. So, any questions? Again, everybody over at Book Club, I'm so sorry about the difficulty. I can't claim it. It's not mine. Saturn or retrograde, Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde, which I haven't sat with enough, to be totally honest, to figure out how that is. And maybe that's why things went bad, is Mercury is like, you need to sit the fuck down and actually channel this, and then update the forecast over at the Discord, because I haven't done that either. I got something over here. Which room do I bitch about astrology? Because Francina named all 4 of the planets I have in Aquarius. 4 in a row at book club. I made a book club by the grace of fall break. Oh my God, I want a court case. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow, I learned something about it all being the 12th house, was the house of shadows and unseen. Wow. Yeah, so over here, where can we talk about astrology stuff? Ooh, this one is interesting. I think I'll make something in the astrology forecast. I'll make a channel for Pluto and Aquarius. I'll probably make some channels for the transiting planets, so that, you know, if you want to talk about that in there. I do, oh, fuck. In the wild, I have like, I was building out, I have Mars and Venus. I need to build out all of the other ones I was supposed to do while we were going through planets and aspects, but times were wild. No pun intended. Let's see. Yeah, I'll probably create, let me see, the astrology archives. No, this is just an archive. Yeah, this is where I have a lot of different stuff. I have moon, transiting, and forecast. Oh, maybe transits. In the library are astrology archives. That's the paid one. That's probably a good place to talk about it, but I'll probably add some spots again in the forecast to talk. I'll just add like a transit one in the forecast, and then the paid one, I'll probably do it a little bit more built out. No offense to everybody, but if I got to build some shit out and look at all that, like it might take me a little while, to be totally honest. We'll see. But, yeah, we're going to do that there, but I'm going to read that while I eat and then respond. Oh, I see that you're a shaman. Yeah. Is your north node? And I'm going to ask you that. Is your north node in Pisces or in the 12th house? Let's see. You read my chart once and everything was like Mercury and Aquarius and Jupiter and Aquarius stuff. And yeah, I'm going to read this more thoroughly and respond. Let me see. I don't know if you can hear me, Shirley. Circling back to this. I'm responding that. So I circle back to it. Okay, so let me see. Anybody? I know this is so specific. I understand if it's too lengthy. Advice for how to reflect on recent Pluto passing with the Chiron in Capricorn. Recent Pluto passing. Do you mean Pluto passing through, or like somebody died during Pluto passing in Capricorn? Because I'm not sure. Advice on how to reflect on recent Pluto passing with the Chiron in Capricorn. You know, the way that I usually think of Chiron is Chiron holds all of, it's like a wounded warrior. And it holds all of like your traumas. I haven't thought too much about Chiron in a while, because the way that I learned it with my Mars energy, it was like, man, it was funny. It was funny. I was channeling them for the first time, and it was like all of my Venus, my Sun, and my Mercury. Anytime my Mars, or like I would start to get weepy, they were like, oh God, he's opened up Chiron again. And it and it was like this call to like the fact that my Chiron doors were open, which means all of my wounds were open, or all of my traumas are open. And so when those doors, when Chiron is opened up or activated, right, our traumas are a little bit more easier to access. I like to think of Chiron as the storage place for all the things that nobody wants to have to think about because they were traumatic. Like they caused wounds, you know what I'm saying? And if you could put it in Chiron and close the door, great. Right? Like, great. We don't have to think about it. Like, think about your life. Do you sit in trauma all the time? No, not every day. But once your Chiron doors are open, yeah, because all it takes is something to trigger it. And you're like, oh, God, why is this trauma from like 1998 hitting me all of a sudden? Like, what is wrong with me? Am I just broken? Yeah, that's Chiron. The doors are open in Chiron, and so it does that. And any planets around it get impacted, like my Mars, even though I wasn't feeling it. It's like all of my communications from my Mars channel were colored by it, and it was like, oh my God. And eventually like mine's in Cancer, I think. So it's like things were murky. Anyways, I'm laughing. I don't, like, you can only imagine when I was experiencing this in meditation. I have 3 channels that are kind of laughing at one channel that's like, guys, stop laughing. This isn't actually a problem. And like, this is problematic. And then another channel, which is Chiron doors open, which is super fucking weepy. And then Mars being like, that's not me. That's Chiron. Shut the fuck up, you other ones. And this is like all of my channels arguing because I was not balanced, right? Like I'm not allowing them to just exist. Plus the other three were massive because they're all in the same house and pulling all the same energy. So it's like one big egregore of energy. And then my Mars, even though it's it can join. Anyways, the point that I'm making is that our channels are on and activated, and they do communicate with each other, and you can understand what those look like if you watch your own behaviors. I mention that when I talk about masks all the time. You'll know the masks that you wear are channels of energy. So anyways, advice on how to reflect on recent Pluto passing with the Chiron and Capricorn. So I guess what I would say here is, passing through. Okay. What I would say here is, if you are having a lot of traumas come up, right? I mean, honestly, the only thing that I would say is the only thing to reflect on is how are you sitting and allowing it to pass through? Like, what does that mean for you? Can you really see a moment where you saw something come up for you, a traumatic event or something that was triggering, and you sat and you allowed it to pass through and you got clarity on the situation? So can you recognize a moment when you did that? Can you also recognize if you value that, meaning that when it happens again, do you go, oh no, it's happening again? Or do you go, oh, okay, so I'm going to get clarity on this situation and it's going to be tough. Valuing it means that you know the whole process and you're aware of it the moment that it starts, and you're willing to sit in and to trust yourself through it. Those are the things that I would be reflecting on. Channels of energy makes me think of literal channels in human design. I don't know too much about human design, but I would probably figure that they are kind of the same. When it comes to channels, though, I really want to say that every channel should have a face and a story. Like, think of every channel as a hero. Like we have Greek heroes. I would say like more so like the gods. You don't want to do human heroes. You don't want to give your channels mortality. Give them immortality, because then you can interact with them better and understand that they don't think about your mortality very much. They're inhuman. They're not organic. They don't experience death, right? They experience transformation, which to them looks like nothing, and to us feels like death. So imagine the channels as gods. They have their stories, which tell you all of their functions, how they interact with other channels, what kind of stories those create, things like that. And that really helps organize things an awful lot. Okay, guys, if that's it, I'm probably going to go eat now. Yep, I think so. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I've got this song "Follow You" from Imagine Dragons stuck in my head. My kid, they love Imagine Dragons. I'm like, where you guys even know about Imagine Dragons from? Anyways, and that song stuck in my head. I feel like it's for someone. I don't normally sing out loud while I'm on live. That's a lie. I've been singing all the time, but when I do, it's because it's for someone else. So "Follow You," Imagine Dragons. That's probably gonna be my last nugget. Somebody should probably go listen to that. Or just understand that song. I'll tell you what that means for me, and maybe that's the point, is I'll follow you wherever you go in your highs. I forget the lyrics, but essentially he's like, whatever your highs and your lows are, I'm there. Also, like, I'm not going to let anybody treat you like shit, this, that, and the other. It's very much a moon or a Mars energy as well, but it's also, so if anybody has a moon in Aries, it's probably for you. It's also Mars energy. It's Mars in Cancer. It's probably for you. Generally, if you have your moon in Aquarius right now and it's at any of the degrees where Pluto is, that's probably for you. And essentially it's just a soul message. It's from the soul that you are in, there you go. Moon in Aries. So it's you. Oh, I have watched Agatha all along. Hold on. I think that song might be playing next. We'll see. So, yeah. So this was for you. So your soul. No, it's not the song that's playing next, but I have Down the Richest Road on the same playlist. So anyways, that's the thing too. So yeah, for those of you who have your moon in Aries, understand, and anybody who also I was listing, understand that You're stuck with yourself. Like, you can't get away from yourself. No matter how fast you run, especially you Aries moons, no matter how fast you fucking try to run away from your own feelings or your own shadow, or how fast you try to run to it, or your emotions are going woo, 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 and you are shifting through things, you are going to be with you through all of that. So you might as well love yourself through it. You're going to be with you through all of it. It's all happening for a reason. So the more that you accept the emotions that you're having, not necessarily the reactions. You don't have to react to the emotions that you're having. And I think the reason why this is for those of you who have the Aries moon is because, and trust me, I really know, I have a lot of Aries energy. It is incredibly difficult, to ignore compulsions and the instinct to get up and do something and to just be like, just go, get it done. Because that's a very Aries centered energy. It can look impulsive to others. It's usually not. Sometimes it depends on the other energies that you have going on. You can be very well thought out. But you sometimes when Aries placements shift temper and emotions very quickly, it can come off as erratic. You're not erratic. You are just quickly moving through. You're burning through all of those things quickly. So that doesn't mean that you are erratic. It means that you have the ability to shift through things quickly. Start thinking about yourself in a different way. And I think that's the message is you've got, like, maybe this is about the Chiron and Capricorn thing. You've got to think differently about all of the negative stuff. It's only negative because you see it as negative. Just the same way that when you were a kid, someone treated you negatively because they saw you negatively, even though you didn't do something negative. It was just negative to them because they choose to see it that way. And you've had to be undoing all of the work on how that altered you. Same thing, you do it to yourself. If you feel like you are erratic, are you erratic, or do you just have the capacity to shift through things quickly? If you feel like you are impulsive, are you impulsive, or do you just have the ability to make decisions quickly? Like, and then ask yourself, who said this? Where did it come from? If it came from someone else, it is a projection from them. You need to get rid of it. If it is coming from you and you're like, I have seen this. I've seen this pattern in myself, and it all checks out to be impulsive. Not so bad. Now you have something to shift. Boom. Okay, so whenever I feel like this, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit and wait more. Oh, wow. Thanks. I'm so glad that I was able to get that information to demise, whether it was impulsive because somebody else tells me that because their perspectives, no offense to them, don't mean shit, but and I don't need that. Or is it actually deduced analytical information about my own patterns that I've noticed and I'd like to change? Because if it's not from you, fuck them. Stop thinking it's a problem. Just shift the verbiage on yourself and call it a day. If it is you, then shift the behavior. Respond differently. Oh, look at that. We don't have to beat ourselves up. We don't have to figure out how we can be like somebody else. No, babes. All you have to do is either find out if it's a problem. If it's not, then stop making it a problem and start talking to yourself differently about it being a value. And if it is a problem, then change it. If you've identified it, you know the feeling. Every time it comes up, do something different. If you don't know what that is, wait until you have clarity. If you need a pendulum to get clarity, I'm telling you, this is not... Stop shaking. I'm telling you, this is not necessarily the best way if you are very confused. If you're confused, using this as a sign that you may be confused. If you have a very easy yes or no answer, fine. If it's a whole fucking complex situation and you have to ask 1,000 yes or no answers to like get down to the nitty gritty, babes, you just need more time. You just need more time and more clarity. Let that shit come to you. It'll come really fast in Aquarius season, and not Aquarius season, although maybe, but it'll come faster as the moon's as Pluto is in Aquarius. But fuck, Aquarius season's coming up. When the moon is in Aquarius during Aquarius season through the new moon, that may be something, right? It may be a reset for a lot of different things. What is that, January? February? Who knows when specifically, but so that may be a reset of a lot of stuff. A lot of things are going to be happening during that time anyways. And also when Venus moves into Aquarius, because I've got that written down here haphazardly. So I take everything as a sign. So anyways, yeah, that. So all of that, hello, let's see, yeah, my moon, prayers to us. No, y'all are good. Aries energy, honestly, I'm going to say this every single time because people really do be knocking Aries energy. It's the best, okay? Let Mars take care of you. He's quick, impulsive, and crazy and wild and will take you on an adventure. But Mars energy is very loving and very protective. And so when your heart is there, it is like, man, follow you. I think the album cover is also red. So listen to that song and really understand that that's coming from your, like imagine you got your soul, your soul is like channeling through the moon. Hey, this is how I feel about you. Listen to that song and know that that's your soul. That's how that feels about you. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come through for me, and it wouldn't have been so fucking accurate. And and this, that, and the other. Like, I don't know what your stuff is, but here you were, and here it is. Oh, here's Down the Witch's Road, Agatha. The Witch's Road, the Agatha All Along. By the way, I think everybody should watch that. It was very good, very great. Lots of stuff there. Excellent when it comes to understanding the complexities of witchcraft and also how it is in society. I will say that it is very centered in, I would say, white culture. As far as when it comes to magic, you have a white presenting queer boy who also is from a esoteric religion. He was Jewish, right? You have someone who reincarnated into this space in order to shift and change something about the universe. You have a white woman who is having to act as his guide because she is La Llorona. No spoilers. I'm just going to say, if you've watched it, you know who La Llorona is, because did she pass over, or was she told to go collect the soul of her child? And who reminds her of her child? Who is she to guide, to depollute his waters? Because he is the son of who? So I'm just going to say that for all of you who've watched it. Am I going to do a deep dive? I don't know. Maybe. I love the show. I normally don't do media deep dives, but I might just get on live and do a deep dive and then put it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much to uncover there. It's really great. I mean, I love it. I listened to the song. Honestly, it's a great song to listen to. For me, whenever the societal energies are turbulent, I will put that song on and let it play and then just allow the energy to organize itself, because I understand that I'm no longer, it's a way of releasing myself from the pace of reality. That show has a lot of energy in it. So what I'm telling you guys is, and essentially teaching you, is that I use all of the energy that is around that entire the show, the people who watched the show, the people who made it, my energy watching it and my interactions with it, to alchemize and organize the things that I cannot see. Down, down, down. I'm going down the witch's road, and I'm activating elemental energy around me. Fire, air, earth, water. I'm activating that within myself, right? To then organize all of this societal energy, the stuff that I cannot see. Because what is that show essentially besides a very fucking crazy rabbit hole on what it means to create reality, to be an alchemist, a master creator of reality. This is Agatha all the way. Honestly, wild. I'll do a deep dive eventually, and I'll put it on YouTube. There's so much stuff that let me write that down. Agatha. I said Agatha all the way. And then I'll just do like a little YouTube. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't draw. Okay, there we go. Agatha all the way. I'll do that. I'll put it as like a little, I'll remember. On the back of this, funny enough, I don't know how this ended up on the floor the other day, but it was something I made a really long time ago about channels and things like that. And there's so much, everything is dormant until activated. Like, what does that even mean, bitch? I mean, I know all this stuff, but like, still, this is all about degrees and deacons, and stuff like that. Is this Aquarius and Scorpio? Catalyst for change. Scene 2. I don't know. Anyways, there's so much shit on here. And I just so happen to be using it as scratch paper. So, yeah. I definitely won't lose this. So I'll remember to do the Agatha Lowe deep dive eventually. Yes, it's on Disney. It's on Disney. It's wild. So please do watch it. It's very good. Try watching it through different lenses. Watch it and watch it through the lens of trying to understand generational traumas in white culture specifically, right? The relationship between white women and black women, and what that means. That there's that in there as well. The relationship between women of color specifically, because we have a Latina representation and an Asian representation there. Also Italian, which is always considered, those are different hierarchies of how close proximity to whiteness you can get without ever being actually considered in the club. It's all an illusion, right? And how the coven works or doesn't work. You've got a boomer in there, and what it looks like, who gets sacrificed first, how they get sacrificed. Look at all those things, because those things are there. They're there, and it's obvious. It's very obvious to me that was there for a reason. And even if it wasn't on purpose of the creators, well, Jesus, weren't they tapped in? Look at it through those lens. Look at it through the lens of what it means for you as a witch, so to speak, right? Who is activating and creating a coven within. So how are all of these women who are witches represented inside of you? Who is your Agatha? Who is your Alice? Who is your was it Rio? Who is your Mrs. Gardner? I can't remember the old lady. Who is your Jen? Is it Jennifer? I think that was one of them. Was it Lilia? Lily? I can't remember. Anyways, who are all of these women represented in you, elementally speaking? How are you an earth witch, a water witch, air and fire witch? Because, spoiler alert, you are all of those things. As a human being, you are all of those things. You do not need an actual physical coven, Sharon. Yeah, you don't need a physical coven of other people in order to do magic. In fact, 9 times out of 10, you will end up trying to siphon off someone else's magic because you become codependent. You must embody all elements in yourself. That way, you can handle all things that come to you, including life. There is no such thing as life without all of those elements present, plus the etheric being who brings life into the world. The creative energy, ether that brings life, air, water, fire, earth, into the world. You do all of that as a person. So how does all of these people who recognize yourself in all of them, in all the moments? Sharon is very much an ego character. So when are you playing Sharon? When are you just a character in the world? You know what I mean? And you're like, no, magic isn't real, and I'm at Target and I'm with my friends and we're going to get coffee afterwards, and I'm uncomfortable because, Cheryl keeps saying, how about we get Starbucks? And I keep having to say, no, how about this other place? Because I've already told her we're bow-cutting 15 times and she doesn't seem to get it. And it's making me uncomfortable. So now I have to resort to just, offering up new places for totally different reasons. Like, what about this coffee shop? I heard it was really great, even though I didn't hear shit about it. I keep getting weird vibes every time I bring up genocide, Like, how are you Sharon? How are you Sharon where shit ain't real? And then how are you Agatha, where you're literally narcissistic and trying to siphon off everybody else's powers all the time? How are you Jen, where you devalue yourself? How are you Alice, where you literally will protect somebody to the point of your own demise? Yeah, you broke a generational curse, all this, that, and the other, just to give your power to somebody else. How are you Lilia, where you're constantly in and out of time, dissociated and present. How are you, the main boy, what's his name, William? Will? I can't remember his name, but how are you Will? You know what I mean? Where you are so gung-ho to manifesting something that you will literally pull people into your world. I call it the little Pisces baby energy. People who are always trying to ship other people off to Neverland. Come join my world, my circus. Yeah, all you Pisces sons in here. Yeah, I see you all always. You guys are little Peter Pans. Come join Neverland, sucking people into your world, and then you get traumatized and confused because they try to escape you, and you turn into Hook for 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I was confused. And then people run away, and then they say you're crazy, and you're not. See, I see a Pisces sun in there. And you're not crazy. Everybody wanted to go to Neverland because Neverland sounds like a great fucking time, and nobody wanted to work at their bank job, right? But then, like, you know, they something happens in the real world, and they learn that when they choose to live a totally different life, they have to let go of all that stuff. And then Daddy waved his little Warbucks of money at them, and they said, oh no, I have to leave Neverland. So now you're the big bad monster. And they turned you into Hook, even though you're like, whoa, what's going on? Yep. Don't suck people off to Neverland. Let them follow you there. So that way, when shit starts happening to them, you can go, bitch, I don't know why you followed me here. I don't know why you followed me here. I'm not responsible for you. You need to go talk to the fucking Tinkerbell and figure out how to get your magic to fly. Because I'm not responsible for you. You came over here. You gotta learn how to have them boundaries. Y'all know how to have boundaries. Y'all be like, I'll save you. No, you won't. Tell people to get their own fucking pixie dust and learn how to fucking fly on their own. Yeah, and they ask, I just choose to believe in myself. Well, I don't know how to do that. You don't need to fix them up. You don't need to help them. You don't need to show them around Neverland. If they end up in Mermaid Lagoon, fucking with mermaids, talking about, I'm not scared, and you were like, bitch, I am, and they want to play anyways, be like, well, I'm going to leave you here. And if I come back and you're gone, I'll know what choice you made, but I'm not staying and watching this massacre happen. My absence should be enough. My absence should be enough to tell you that if I'm not there, you shouldn't be either, because you're the dumb bitch who doesn't know anything about Neverland and is following me around. Yeah, y'all have to know that. You guys are really great at reading energy. You're very psychic. Other people rely on your gifts. They follow you around, and then they turn it around on you and make it seem like you're crazy because they got wrapped up in some shit. Not a therapy set. Cooking with the Pisces. I see you. Yeah, because y'all ended up, you know, you let people think that your power is theirs. Tell people to get their own. If they look like they're drowning, let them drown. There's only two things to do in water, babes. Surrender or drown. Anybody who thinks that they control water because they know how to swim in it and manipulate it is a dumb motherfucking bitch, because all it takes is one rogue wave. One rogue wave and we're all fucked. You know what I mean? I'm very good at swimming. I'm in the ocean. I'm like, oh, I forgot to surrender. That one rogue wave hit me, and I'm standing on my 2 feet. I'm not even out deep. And I'm sitting here getting fucked up on shore. Absolutely the fuck not. I will never forget. The ocean tells you. Only two things you can do here is surrender or drown. If you surrender, the rogue wave might shake you around and throw you places, this, that, and the other, but you will float right back up to the top and you'll be fine, guaranteed. But if you want to fuck around, you will find out. You know what I'm saying? So let people fuck around and find out on their own. Don't let people use your psychic abilities and your ability to navigate all of those spaces and then get caught up trying to do it without you and then blame you for all the shit that they got caught up doing. Absolutely the fuck not. We don't do that. Oh, okay, bye, Discord. I'm going to check out over here because I know y'all are gone and y'all are over here now. So yes, week with facts. Yeah, for real. So anyways, I'm going to go eat now. And I will upload this on YouTube for everybody. And as I said before, I will reschedule something for book club. And also, we have class not this week on Thursday, but Saturday. So I'll be probably live for that for those of you who are here and live. I see somebody, Sincerely Apollo. I love, what's it called? Steven Universe. That was a little Steven Universe person. No problem, everybody. I'm going to scroll and see if I saw any other questions really quick. What show? That's it. Have you seen The Magicians? Oh, you know what? I tried to watch that, but I kind of couldn't. I kept getting uninterested. There's a style to it that I'm not too interested in. I think it's because it centers a white guy usually, and so always the stuff it doesn't resonate with me as much because the other characters surrounding this person tend to give a lot of their they tend to be very harsh characters, because I guess to be and to hang around a straight white man requires people to be some of the worst versions of themselves in order to gain power in that space, because they have to sacrifice other people there. And so it's really hard for me to follow media, especially when it's magic based and the main character is a white man, a white straight man, because everybody in that world just seems like they center him. Okay. And I need people to understand, when they center white men in a Western society, that's like being a Pisces who's very psychic and is like, okay, come on, white boy, let's go to Neverland. And he's like, I know how to do everything here. And you're like, well, you don't go to Mermaid Lagoon. And he's like, move, bitch, I'm going to Mermaid Lagoon because I'm a white guy and I like to do adventurous stuff and get into things. And then she's like, okay, I guess we go. And I'm like, girl, why didn't you tell him? Why didn't you? And then it turns out she's in love with him, so she has to center him. And I'm like, I can't watch this because it's red flag after red flag after red flag. And we all know who's going to be sacrificed so that he can learn a lesson and X, Y, and Z. And it's just, I just can't. So that was giving them vibes. And I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Now, was this show like that? I don't know. I can't say that because I haven't watched it. I'm just telling you why I generally like, it'll take, I try and then I get disinterested because usually I pick up, there's too many side characters who are way too centered around him. So they are, again, their worst selves. It's not even usually the white guy who's too bad. He's a little haphazard, you know what I mean? Or whatever. He's whatever he is. But girl, you're the curator of my Is it my my repost? I love reposting stuff, honestly. And I always tell people, so I've totally jumped topics, but I want to say this. Whenever y'all see me repost stuff, I used to have people who were close to me, and I'm pretty sure they did this. They would look at my repost and be like, she must be going through it. And I'm like, y'all are some dumb motherfuckers. You know, I have a community of people. I repost stuff that I think is helpful for people. I repost people that I see doing their thing, regardless of how I feel about it. Like, I might not be into this style of music, but I was like, dang, bitch can sing. Bitch is doing her creative thing. That's inspiring. I hope it inspires somebody who's in my space that also does that, and to see that this is cool, you know. And I'd be like, people post stuff about like narcissism and like, oh my god, I have this privilege and like, and people hate me for it and blah 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 blah. And I'll repost that because I'm like, yeah, that's a real lived fucking perspective. I've seen people go through that. I've gone through that in tiny bits and pieces and places in my life when I was a teen, and I repost shit like that. And I can tell when people look at stuff that in my personal life, they would look at stuff and be like, oh, she must be going through it. And I'm like, dumb bitch, that was back when I was 16, like 16 years ago. I was just reposting that for other people. So I'm really glad that it's actually doing what it's meant to do. I like to repost stuff that's like, that actually is either uplifting, informational, and doesn't come with a lot of like, you know, fear-based stuff. Like stuff that actually people who I feel are actually very informative. And also I love reposting things from people who are experts in their field, because if anything, you can learn how another field works and operates for real. It's so important. I'm going to leave after this, but I'm going to say this because it's really important for y'all to hear. When I was a kid, I worked at Universal Studios. Okay. I worked in a gift shop, but best believe I was in the candy shop one day and the electricians came in to fix the casing. And I was like, tell me about your job, sir. What do you do here? And he was just chit-chatting and telling me about the shit that he was fixing in there and stuff like that. But I carried that same energy throughout my life. I remember I was in high school. I was in the band room once, and there was this old man. He would always wear these Mickey Mouse ears, and he would always help around. He didn't have no kids. I don't know what he was doing there. In fact, it was probably a red flag. But he was so old, he was harmless. So I remember once he was telling us how to... he told us what like how he could take down an entire electrical grid with a balloon and a penny. And I was like, sir, I don't think you're supposed to tell us stuff like this. He also told us all sorts of stuff to mix for explosions, because he used to work as a pyrotechnic at Disney. So he knew all these things because he knew to avoid those things and like stuff that would happen, X, Y, and Z. And he just used to tell us all this interesting information. I'm telling you this to say this: when you talk to experts in a field, you will learn half of what you think you knew was an illusion. You will learn the reality of how slow shit is, about how backwards most shit is, about how people in that field are trying to solve real world problems that you thought may have already been solved, but they're not. Or how they actually do solve real world problems, how slow it takes people to do things like that, how many people it takes to solve a real world problem. You learn so much about a single industry. So therefore, all of that fucking, like, you know, all of the assumptions and stuff like that, they go out the window. The more you learn from experts about things, like, I'm pretty sure I reposted, there was a guy giving a lesson on civics about how lawyers will look at a case and do something called an IRAC, where they'll look at a case and figure out what they know, what they should put their attention on, what the rules are, and like their conclusions, the issue, all the kind of stuff, how they brief for a case to learn about what is and this, that, and the other, how they study up for things and stuff. And he was explaining that because it's just basic, it's the basic civics. And like, not a lot of people know that this is how lawyers do it, you know? And so I think I might have reposted that, but it's important to know things like that. So that way, when something else hits you in the real world from an industry that you have no experience in, you can automatically go, well, it's probably not as fancy as I think it is. If you want to get into being a lawyer and you think it's this huge thing, child, no, it's not. It's the same fucking day job as everybody else's day job. It's just more information about one topic than another. You know what I'm saying? Like, even me, I'm a fucking witch. That's my day job, but it's like really basic. I read stories and decompose them and understand the human psyche. It's like, it's really fucking cool to me, yes, and other people who are interested, yes, but the day-to-day, I mean, yes, I'd be having my That's So Raven moment where I'm sitting here and I'm like, ding, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, energy coming in. What is this? You know what I'm saying? I have those moments, but like, a guy who works at stocks has those moments when the fucking thing goes against the little kiosk, you know, and he's like, stocks up, stocks down, you know, he's like, ding, 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 got to read this article and this information so I know what to invest. Like, it's the same thing. It's just about something a little bit more interesting to me than not. Oh, wait, I asked about your astrology chart and you were a little hesitant. That was not me. If someone asked you specifically, it was not me. If it was a DM, it was not me. I will tell you all this. I will never fucking DM you. First of all, that's just not me socially. Okay? I am a social hermit. I will never, ever in my life talk to you unless you come to me first. Specifically, if you're on the Discord and something like that, or if it was, if you are on the Discord and I was like, oh, I'm doing natal chart readings for class or something like that, and you were like, oh, I don't know if I want to sign up for that, then yes, that was me. If you were hesitant, all fair game. But if it was a DM, not me. I'm not in tune with your ancestors coming and knocking on your door. That is an absolute no. Consent is necessary. For the 26 of you in here, maybe I'll save a few lives. Energy reading, consent is necessary. I had a client once, and I told them, I was like, you know, my belief system is that all people live on their own personal planets. And just like when you're going to somebody's house, you have to ask if you can come in. So this is me asking if I can be in your energy for a little bit. And then I tell them the basics. You're going to talk. Stuff's going to come up. I'm going to talk about it, see what I see, this, that, and the other. But I promise to leave it better than I arrived. That is my whole shtick, you know. Be consent. And I had one person, she was like, do I have to give you consent? Yes. I was like, red flag already. I can see what issues you're having in life. I was like, do you have any religious trauma? That was my next question, because she was a bit iffy about getting consent, which told me an awful lot, that she had issues thinking that in her mind, if I invite you in, then whatever you do to me is allowed. It's like, no, sis, if you allow me to do stuff to you without expressively inviting me in, then that means you got a burglar. Burglars are way worse than people you let in, because you can kick people out when you let them in. You know what I'm saying? And you can let people in under certain conditions. When people are in your house under no conditions, none set by you, that's called trespassing. So I never trespass. If I'm in your DMs, it's not me. I don't even have my DMs open. I have people got to email me or message me through my newsletter or be on the Discord or some shit like that, and then, you know, leave a thing. And even on Discord, I will let you all know my role mostly is teacher, so I don't chit chat or do like friendship stuff. I'm also a hermit, and I very rarely make friends with people. Let me stop. No, and I'm a hermit, so like, you know, and I focus on other things. So my point is that if I'm in a DM, I'm offering you to read something, that ain't me. That's one of them scammers. And I already put hexes on them, so I'm just kidding. I didn't really hex them. I let the universe do it. Anyways, I'm going to go eat now. And I will see you all where I see you, out on the internet somewhere. Bye.